Over the past month, I have spent over 20 hours coaching sales reps on how to 2, 3, and even 5x the commissions that they're making, and here are the best calls. In the first call, I'll be sharing a Q&A that I did in my school group where I answered people's questions on the type of questions they should ask, the tone, objections, just how to get better at sales. And the second call is going to be more intimate. It's going to be a one-on-one session where I go over a specific client's tone and how to overcome the objections he was running into and destroy his own limiting beliefs to increase his sales. And if you stay tuned until the end, in the last call, number 3, I share a call from my high-level mastermind where I'm able to actually review people's calls and give them direct feedback and go a lot deeper, share some sales ninja tricks to make sure they can increase their sales. Let's dive in. Let me go ahead and pull you up, man. How can I help?
Hey man,
Yeah,
appreciate you doing this
of course,
and
man.
full community and everything. Yeah, I guess I want to so I sell life insurance final expense.
Hmm.
I guess I just want to go over just best way to pre-handle a prospect.
Yeah,
Basically, so never had coverage before, you
yeah.
know, they're 60 years old looking into coverage for the first time. And and I guess it's a two-part scenario. First
Uh-huh.
time having coverage, and I'm the first company that they've called. Um, so I guess I'm wanting to pre-handle the shopping around.
Okay.
You're the first person I called, so I just want to get my numbers and yeah. So I've
So
been
are you captive or do
me
you
no, I'm a broker.
okay.
I'm a broker, but typically the leads that I get there, so I can offer them other options, if I need to.
Yeah.
Typically leads are calling in from for a specific carrier though.
Okay. So they're calling in for something specific.
At least the
Typically that's going to start at the very top of the conversation. It's like, yeah, what my job is just to, understand a little bit more about, your health information. And then, I kind of shop around for the best rates for you, right? Because
Mhm.
we work with over, however many. You can just put that in there. Does that make sense? So like it's from the very beginning that your job here, it's not to sell them, it's to shop around for them to get them the best price.
Got it. Now, but if they are, because uh, so I'm not captive in
Mhm.
reality. However, the
Mhm.
leads that are calling in, they're calling for a specific carrier.
Okay.
Like their TV commercial, they're live inbounds, so they're calling for senior life.
Uh-huh.
But at the end of the day, I can pivot if I need to.
Yeah,
So,
so I would like if it's coming up a lot, then I
mhm.
would just have that at the very beginning. So we call it out like, hey, my job is to shop around for you.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So, so like pretty much kind of like in the yeah, just right at the top after I get the overarching outcome
Mhm.
and what's I guess what's going on in your life now that's got you looking into something like this. Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
looking for great. Okay, yeah, I mean, pretty simple and easy. My job is to shop around for you, see which, what are the best plans available.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like if you go down into like I have a mortgage protection like age lead script
Yeah.
like in there if you go back and look and it's like okay, and this call is pretty basic. It's more for us just to get some basic information, and then from there my job is to shop around all the different options that would be most affordable for you. And then if you have a 2 call close, you just go ahead and you would schedule like have it to where you schedule a second call. But if it's a 1 call close and you say
These
and
are
then we can
typically
just
phone calls.
okay, then it's like, and then
20.
once we get all the information I can go over all the different options for you. Do you think that would help?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. And it's like the cost of everything varies on a few things. Number one, your age. Number two, your health. Number three, the program and the amount of program as well. Okay.
Yep.
So perfect. And then you go with the rest of the conversation. Then you just dive more into the logistical side of stuff you're going to need.
Got it. Got it. And then I guess my last thing, I mean, I've got a bunch of questions, but I don't want to take everyone's time.
Yeah.
So for next, but I guess this one major point here for
Mhm.
me is basically just pre-handling that. So they've never had coverage before. This is their first time looking into it. So
Uh-huh.
so I pre-handle the, just pushing it off for later,
Yeah.
objection. So I think I came across
Mhm.
one where just to kind of bring up, well, I mean, have you? and I guess I'm wanting to get feedback from this if I'm kind of thinking the right way.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, have you heard of, maybe like family, friends, or somebody just passing away, yeah, unexpectedly? I mean, they'd probably say, yeah. I mean, yeah, we've all experienced that before. So, I mean, what do you think happened when they're trying to get coverage, but it's too late? Who has to pay for the funeral then? Yeah, their
yeah,
family. Okay, so I mean, would you want your family to have to pay for it if you don't get the coverage? And it kind of is going down that road. Would
yeah.
that make
Well,
sense?
yeah, and it definitely does make sense. So if somebody hasn't gotten anything before, like one
Yeah.
of the questions you'd always want to ask, well, like what's coming up for you that makes you, I guess, like makes you want to look into this now, or
Mm,
why is it so important to look into this now? So it's like
yeah.
we get more of a time frame then, and then we're asking, okay, what's prevented you in the past? My mind is I want to get a belief
Right. Yeah.
and then address that belief. So it's
Right.
like, but before we started talking data, like, have you been out there talking to other companies to get something in place, or what have you done on that front? What's actually prevented you?
Yeah. I don't know. I
And
just
then,
been thinking
Mhm.
about. I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you really thought about it, because you said like this has been going on for a little bit, it's been in the back of your mind. So what do you feel like is actually preventing you from getting anything in place just to make sure your family's protected?
Um, I mean, I mean, just working. I mean, I've never been really unhealthy. I've always, had my vitamins. Never been sick. Just wasn't really a priority. But I'm getting older now, so
Yeah,
I just figure it might be time to maybe get something.
yeah. Because can I share perspective?
Yeah, sure.
Can you see how not making it a priority has just led you to not having any coverage in place right now for your family? Like, are you okay with me saying that?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
And so I guess like how are you going to overcome that way of thinking? So if God forbid we do pass earlier than what we might think, like your family's actually protected.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why I'm talking to you now, trying to see
Yeah,
what we
and
can.
it's like and talking to me is definitely the first step. But like what do you feel like you really need to shift to just make sure like they're protected?
Well, I've gotta get something in place.
I mean, you don't have to, right? Because I do have to ask if we keep on making it not a priority, because some people do that their entire lives. Like ultimately, who's going to have to foot the bill when you do pass away?
Probably my wife, my kids.
Do you want to allow that to happen?
No, that's
Okay, so
not
time to
looking.
make a change and possibly
Yeah,
something like that.
fire. Got it.
Now, depending on how much like pushback they give you, you can go a little bit harder in the paint.
Sure. Sure.
But if they're coming along with you, you probably
Yeah,
don't need to do much more than that.
sure.
And just bringing up that, hey, this not being a priority is the reason why we don't have something in place.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Appreciate that.
Does that help?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Alrighty. And then Yemen, let me go ahead. Let me pull you up here. Howdy,
Oh
dude.
man, what's going
Hey,
on?
nothing much.
Quick fun little fact. So tonight I'm actually gonna take my first strategy call in like 6 months after being in setter purgatory because everyone on my team
Yeah,
who is a closer, they're full out. So
yeah.
have some leeway there. Um,
Smack back some deals, bro.
hell yeah.
Do you
I'll
talk
have to
to?
practice
Did you talk
solution
to
though.
your company like, hey, can I start closing on the weekends or something like that, or there's less availability?
Um, no, he says like, okay, as long as the closers are fully booked out for the next 3 days, you can start taking your own deals.
Dope shit. Let's get after it.
So I gotta get my job done first and then
Yeah.
expand out there.
Yeah.
Um, which by the way, it's been increasing gradually.
Uh,
1, 2, 3 from the last 3 days. I've only been on this offer for 3 days, but
uh-huh.
so far. What I wanted to take a look at today was
Yeah.
just the tonality in the
Okay.
intro.
Uh-huh.
I think I've started to get closer to the right tonality, but I want
Yeah.
to know your thoughts too.
Yeah. So you want to take a look at
Uh,
a call or you want to role play?
yeah, just a call here. Just pulling it up here.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Alrighty.
I'm just pulling her up.
No worries, man.
Okay. So I did end up setting her.
And just for everyone, what's the context of
Right.
this call?
So this is a real estate marketing agency.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they opted in for something, then we went ahead and we called them,
So
basically.
this was a no-show from like
Okay.
a couple months back.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, DRM's glitching out here. So hey, let me know if you can hear it though.
Yeah. Got it there. Hopefully.
Hello?
Hey, Irene?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just Eric from Mescula. How's it going?
Good. From where?
Just from Mescula. You might not remember. It was about a month or two ago, but you put in some information, requesting information about like possibly getting some help with more listings so you can grow the business. Did you ever end up finding something?
I did. Right now I'm
But
Yeah,
that's where
I
I want
would-
to
I
get
would-
some feedback.
I would try to make it a more familiar tone.
Okay.
So it's like, what's her name?
Irene.
Hey, Irene. Hey, Irene, this is just Christian Polk. I'm over here at.
Okay.
So you see how just saying it that way just infers that she knows who I am.
Oh, okay.
So like that's the hook I want to set in her mind.
Can we role play that? Just
Yeah,
practice
go
it.
for it, man.
Okay. Yeah, Christian.
Yeah, who's this?
Yeah, it's Yimin. Yimin Dong, just out here from Mescula.
Yeah, what's this all about?
Yeah, you might not remember. It was about a month or two ago, but you requested some information about possibly getting some help with, more listings so then you can grow your business. Did you ever end up finding something?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking around, but I didn't really get anything in place.
So how was that tonality? Was it more familiar or
Yeah,
like
that was better.
okay, familiar tonality? Gotcha.
Yeah. So like we just want like it's just to pique that curiosity in their mind, like oh,
Right.
if you're enjoying this and you feel like you need more help with your sales, go ahead and check out the description. I have 2 links, one where you can talk more one-on-one with me to see if working with me hands-on would make more sense, or you can check out my school group where you can learn how to get to your first 5 to 10K per month as a closer.
right.
Do I know this person?
Okay. Like, do you have like an upward inflection like a lot, or like? I guess I'm trying to figure out the inflections too.
It's like the upward inflection just at the beginning, and then you just go into a normal conversation. If you talk like that the entire time, they probably think,
Yeah.
like you're having a stroke or something, right? Because like nobody talks like that.
Right.
But it's just at the beginning, it's just more of a familiar tone. Just think about it when you're like trying to remind somebody that you had like kind of spoken to them.
Yeah. Okay.
Like how would
Reminding.
you sound?
Yeah, it's Yimin Dong from Mescula.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like?
Yeah.
Like
I mean, I would slow
close?
down so like that way they can just hear you. Because especially when you're on the phone, they just picked it up. It's like we don't want to be super fast when we're talking, just because they're gonna be like, what? And you just have to repeat yourself.
Yeah, I had some feedback of people telling me that too. Like they're like, huh?
So
Okay.
slow down, use a familiar tone, and then people tend to be a lot more open.
Appreciate it. Can I hear it one last time before we move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey Yemen.
Hey, hi.
Hey Yemen, this is Christian Polk. I'm over here with XYZ company.
Okay, so it's more like Christian Polk. Like, do you remember me? Like, just kind of like
Yeah,
undertone. It's
like
like
basically.
Yeah.
Like it's a familiar, do you remember me? And they're gonna be searching in their mind like,
okay,
do I know this person?
right. Okay. So I've been trying to use playful this whole time, but like really the underlying is just like, yeah, it's Yemen. You remember me? Like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate
And like
Christian.
you could be playful like early, like later on in the conversation, but at the very beginning, like they don't know what's going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? So just understand, like, if somebody just calls you out of the blue, like you opt, like, just put yourself in that position. You opted into something 3 months ago.
Right. Okay.
How much do you
And it's
remember
like
about something you opted into 3 months ago, bro?
barely.
Like,
Life
it's
gets in the
just
way.
like it's an inkling in the back of your mind, like, oh, did I do that?
Yeah.
Right. So if you're just like playful, or you can be a bit confusing, or if you're talking really fast, then you're just gonna lose people.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Make sense?
So the tone, right. So it's in tone of like,
Like
yeah, you
familiar
remember me?
tone. Yeah.
Right.
And then they're going to be like searching in the back of their mind. And really, all that's there to do is just to keep them on the conversation long enough to ask them, have they found what they're looking for if they're still looking?
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Okay.
Right. So it's like, we
Yeah.
don't want to do too much. That
Right.
first little, like, first 5-10 seconds is to create curiosity to keep them on the phone. Just make it to where they don't hang up on me. That's all I need.
Mm.
Okay.
And what about the initial, like, hey, Christian, like that part?
Yeah, it's
Like,
fine.
is there, like, is that like, is there any nuance behind it, or just like, hey,
It's
Christian?
the same. It's just like that familiar tone.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Right. No need to overthink it.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
All right, cool. All right. Joe, let me go ahead. Let me bring you up here. Howdy, dude.
Hello, hello. So the biggest objections I kind of get at the end is, well, it's people who I talk to, one, they don't know it's a coaching call. So
Right.
it's a supplement. And most of them people haven't done anything to solve it besides maybe a cookie cutter thing. Like it's very little less than like 1% maybe try to nutrition or coach.
Yeah.
And most of them, they haven't done anything in like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So a lot of objections I get at the end, like when I have it tracked, it's been like 90, like out of 100, it'd be like 95 would be money objections. But sometimes it's money fear or logistics. But I think they've never invested in themselves this way.
Mhm.
Trying to prevent that in this type of solution awareness, I'm guessing that's where I would probably prevent it the easiest.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering if I could practice that section, see how it sounds and stuff like that. So
Yeah, 100%, man.
okay. Is it with you then?
Yeah, we could just role play.
Okay. So you've been winging on your own for a while and whatever kind of thing. Okay.
Let's say I'm 30 pounds overweight,
Okay.
haven't done jack shit for 4 years. Took a supplement I bought the supplement because it looked like it could help.
Yeah.
But I've done nothing outside of that.
Okay. All right.
Sound
So-
pretty typical?
Yeah. And so
Okay.
the first question I asked is, so besides just winging on your own for the last like 4 years, like what else have you tried to actually like lose this weight so you can actually have more energy with your kids?
I mean, I've done just a couple of like cookie cutter meal plans, but I haven't really done much else besides that.
Okay. Well, out of the cookie cutter meal plans, like what's been the most successful out of those?
I mean, I don't know if I've really had much success. Like I lose like a couple pounds and I just gain it right back.
Okay. And I guess like, I mean, was it like a Weight Watchers? Was it Noom? Like what kind of programs were you actually trying?
Yeah, I mean, I tried Weight Watchers. I did that for a couple months, but got bored of just the meals, and I've done a couple of those like type of programs.
Okay. And I guess what do you feel like, because we help a lot of people who've had success with those programs in the past. Like, what do you feel like maybe prevented you from actually like losing weight and keeping it off?
It's just that like the I don't know. I don't feel like it was really made for me. It was just like
What do you mean
just
by
a
that?
set plan, and it just didn't really, I got bored, so
Bored and
I,
like,
yeah, it's just the same type of bland food like over and over again.
okay, so that wasn't something you felt like it would be successful long term for you then, just kind of keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
Right. So besides the cookie cutter programs, like what else have you tried to actually like as far as like outside help or like support to actually like lose this weight so you can actually reach your goals?
Oh, I haven't.
Nothing? Nothing at all?
No.
Oh, I guess what's held you back from actually like, raising our hand in the last 2 years from, reaching out and getting some help?
I mean, I've just been trying to figure it out and just do it on my own.
Okay. How's that working so far?
I mean, it hasn't been working.
Can I besides just trying to figure it out, has anything else prevented you from actually trying to get some support?
I don't know. Like I know, a lot of hands-on help or things like that could just cost a good amount of money.
Okay. Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see how you've just been trying to figure it out and seeing how maybe things can cost a lot of money has caused you to be where you're at right now? Like, are you okay with me saying that?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay, so is that way of thinking, right? Things cost too much, or you're just gonna keep figuring your own, like, is that worth keeping? Like, is that right way of thinking keep worth keeping moving forward?
I mean, I probably not.
Why is that?
Well, it's just like being just going in the same loop like over and over again past
Right.
couple years.
Got it. And the reason I asked that, because it's one, it's about losing the weight, right? The 30 pounds you want to lose, but it's also about being that version you want to be, the better person, right? We walk that walk, we talk that talk of that version. You kind of hold yourself at a different standard. Would you agree?
Right? Yeah.
But right now we're at the 200-pound version of yourself. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I have to ask, like, are you okay staying that version of yourself now, this person? Because if you are, I'm the first person to tell you to stay where you're at.
No, I'm definitely not okay.
Why not though?
Well, it's just like I've been stuck at this and I'm not as active. I can't do all the things that I really need to do.
Right. And I can appreciate that you feel like you've been stuck in it and you hasn't been active like we talked about with your kids. But I have to ask a tough question. What happens if you stay this version of yourself, this person, for the rest of your life? Like, how would that feel?
I feel terrible.
Terrible? How so?
Just I'd be, just overweight and in pain and not being able to do the things I need to do.
Right.
Yeah, there, mate, I've just spoken to your wife on Facebook, Ali. I'm a financial consultant.
All right. Sorry. So then, like, moving forward, then rather making decisions, based off where you're at now, like doing it on your own, thinking just things that don't want to spend the money on things. Are you willing to make decisions based off where you want to go? Like step in those shoes. Like you like the shoe that you need to be. Like bet on yourself enough, back yourself enough to actually become a different person. So you can get those better results for yourself.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure, man.
Because you don't have to be, because it's going to be hard. It's going to be scary. Like a lot of people will run away from this because it's easier to run away. Why are you willing to actually back yourself?
Well, I know I need to make a change.
So time to make a change, possibly.
Yeah.
Then I would just go into like how did that sound or feel or
Like, definitely we need to make sure we're comfortable in those.
yeah.
Because I feel like now there may be some places we definitely could have tightened up, like what we're actually saying, but I felt what lacked was the conviction in your voice.
Okay.
So if you need to, first and foremost, like role play it, get comfortable with it. Because this is like probably like how many times have you actually ran through something like that?
This one, I mean, I ran by myself and then on calls like probably like 10 times, 10, 15
Right.
times. I mean, I
Yeah.
in my head, but like
Yeah.
I get stumped because
10x get a role play partner, 10x that volume. Like in the next week, like get really comfortable with just challenging people. Something else that you could do to really help with your tone, especially in this section, because they can't see you, can they?
No.
Stand up.
Okay.
Right? Like me personally, I can't stand up when I sell because I'm aggressive as fuck. Like I'm way too aggressive if I stand up and I sell. But if you feel like, okay, like right now, I just need a little bit more, then like stand up so you convey that confidence.
Okay.
Because if people sense like you're a little bit shaky,
Yeah.
then they're not going to buy into your frame. Because just understand right now, when you're shaping someone's belief or you're trying to reshape their belief, there's a little bit of a frame battle going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Whose frame is stronger?
Right.
The reason I'm able to shift people's beliefs is because nobody has a stronger frame than I do.
Okay.
Period. Okay. So I would make sure you go through that a couple more times. tonality's going to be really, really big on that too.
Okay.
So just making sure we're dialing in the tonality.
Okay. So when you say tonality, it'd be more assertive, essentially, that kind of
Well,
thing.
more assertive in some areas, but then also in other areas, it just comes down to like a bit concerned.
Okay.
Because like when you bridge into the identity frame, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I really like. It's one of the strongest ways to get your hooks in people. Like what you want to do, and especially for what you sell, it's like, hey man, we can give you the perfect diet plan in the world and give you all the best personal trainers, but if you don't have the actual mentality behind it to get the work done, like what type of results are you gonna get?
Yeah.
Like you want to run through?
Yeah. Let's run it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like what type of results are you gonna get?
I mean, probably not great.
Yeah,
So,
because I'll tell you right now, like yes, understanding the skills and what you need to do, that's a big part of it. But a bigger part is being a better person. Because if you're that person who's 170 pounds and they can play and run around with their kids, like I'm telling you right now, you walk a different way. You have like a different confidence to you. You know what I mean?
yeah, I do.
But like right now, you're that 200-pound guy. Like, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
So I do have to ask, are you okay staying that guy? Because if you are, I'm the first one to tell you, just keep doing what you're doing.
No, I'm not okay.
Well, why not?
Because I don't want to be this version of myself anymore. I'm sick and tired of being it.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. But the tough question we have to ask ourselves, because we've been this person for the past 2-3 years, if we stay this person for the rest of our lives, how's that going to feel?
Terrible.
How so?
I would just be probably more miserable, like with my life, and I won't have as much moments with my kids. So it
Yeah.
wouldn't be.
So do you want to allow that to happen?
No, I don't want to allow that to happen.
Okay, so I'm gonna actually start doing something about this.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you see how there's a shift?
Yeah.
When we're talking about real shit, there's a shift in my tone. I'm a little bit softer, but
Okay.
I'm also a little bit worried for them. You get what I'm saying? Like that's what really pulls out that emotion. That pause there. Like just be real with me. Like, how would that feel?
Okay. That's kind of where the real shift almost, because you're like a little bit more assertive and you say why not, and then that's when like the real, like that's kind of where that shift.
Yeah, like the way you should think about it in your mind
Yeah.
is that question is, bro, you got to level with me right now. Like, dude, if nothing changes, man, like what, like, bro, what's gonna happen? Like, you're concerned for them.
Okay. That makes sense.
And it comes with practice. I ask that question the same time every single fucking time.
Yeah.
Or the same tone. Sometimes I switch up the words a bit to match them.
Right. And I kind of noticed that you kind of matched like the beginning part. And that's what I need to do is match the words to what they've told me. Kind of like,
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I like I'm really big. Have a deep understanding of the structure, but the structure flows. It flows with them. And like I want to make it as specific to them as I can. I want to use their words.
Yeah.
And I want to use their pitfalls, their goals, whatever it is. So I'm speaking to this person.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Two quick questions. Like in the beginning, when I go like, are you okay with that being that? And then is that way of thinking worth keeping moving forward? Does that seem like, because I know you have the question in there, like, what do you need to change? But when I've asked people like that question in the past, they're like, I don't know. So I took it out because I kept getting a lot of people like, I don't know what I need to do.
Well, it's like, how are you actually going to overcome that way of thinking so we're not stuck?
Okay.
So typically, I'm not going to ask, like, what do you need to change? So it's like, can you see how problem, or have you seen how belief has caused problem?
Yeah.
Are you okay with me saying that?
Yeah.
What do we actually need to do to overcome that way of thinking so we get out of complacency, like whatever form of complacency they have? It's like, well, Like, is that something you actually like want to do, or right? So it depends on like the conversation. Like, what happens like if you don't have to, or you can go the other route of, well, where do you feel like that belief actually comes from?
Yeah, because I've seen your mirror boards. It's just when I have asked like, how are we going to come over that? Like that second question, I've got a lot of like, I don't know, or I'm not
Well,
sure.
if you really think about it, man, and be real with me, because some of that's going to come from, again, if we're going into it a little bit shaky,
Yeah,
they're not fully buying into our frame.
got it.
But if they do say like, oh, well, I don't know, well, if you really thought about it,
Okay.
well, no, I know I need to, like, so you're on top of them.
Okay. Got
Does it
it.
make sense?
It does. Cool.
Especially with fitness people,
Yeah.
right? Fitness people who just bought a supplement thinking it's going to save or solve all their problems.
Right. Right. And that's kind of why I added that thing at the end with like, are you willing to actually back yourself? Because that's what I'm trying to get them to be like, okay, are you willing to actually bet on yourself? That the reason I put that in there to like get them to say, yes, I'm willing to actually, I'm hoping that fights through that fear, but I don't know if it will, or that's what I'm trying to figure out. So
Yeah, well, it depends on the conversation up until the point. Like the real big thing is oftentimes what I see is it's going to be hard to shift someone's beliefs if we don't have really good tangible pain and them admitting that they are the problem.
okay.
So if I can't get them to admit that they are the problem, then I'm reshaping their beliefs to solve what? They're not the problem. They're like it's not their fault.
Mm,
You get what I'm saying?
yeah.
So some of that's going to be a little bit upstream,
Okay.
but it affects the downstream stuff.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay.
Okay, cool. Hopefully that helps.
It does.
All right, perfect, man. All right, Andrew, you there? Or no? All right, we'll come back to Andrew. Blake, you there? Everybody's got the cameras off. What's going on?
I'm good.
Okay, Andrew's here. I'll get you next, Blake.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
So I've been as you know, I sell mattresses. I've been doing a lot of follow up with people, letting them know, the sale's ending, and I've
Yeah.
had a lot of I've had like probably 40% of the ones I couldn't close. Text me, oh well, I went to Macy's and they were having a 50% off sale, and well, what Macy's does is they take the same mattress and they say it's like an eye comfort. Like we sell it for 1,200, they'll sell it for 2,400, and then they'll say, "Oh, it's 50% off today," and it's the exact same bed. And it's like, so the customer was like, when I was clarifying after, it's like, oh well, what'd you find there? Oh, I got a better mattress from Serta that was half off. And I'm like, oh well, what was the model? And they're like, can you send me the receipt? Like, just curious, because usually like Serta doesn't really do discounts. And Serta, it was the exact same model. I showed them for 1,200. They paid the exact same price, but they thought because the store down the street told them it's $2,400 mattress for $1,200, they thought they got like a better deal. And I'm wondering, what's the better way of like, is there a way of pre-framing like not all stores act ethical without like throwing shade at my competitors?
That's going to be a really, because
And
it's going to be.
I actually have a customer walking in. Can I skip?
Yeah, we'll get to that question later. Okay. On the job. Okay, Blake, let me go ahead. Let me pull you up here. Howdy, dude.
Howdy.
Got the
What's
cool
up, man?
background. Why is it all blurred out? What's going on?
Oh, okay. You want to see the the yard? I mean, I'm just in my backyard here. I'm a boomer. I actually don't know how to do it, but
Yeah, if you got cool backgrounds, show it off when you're taking calls.
honestly, man, I really don't know how to take it off.
Yeah, no worries, bro. It's all good. How can I help?
Okay. So I just accepted an offer for like high ticket fitness sales. And I'm making my script like for the actual product that I'm selling now. I haven't started taking calls yet. I got to get like certified, quote unquote, but I wanted your opinion on like the opening, like the connecting and situation and like transition into like problem awareness.
Okay. You want to share your screen?
Well, could we role play it?
Yeah, let's go
You gotta
through it.
get yeah, okay, cool.
So
Christian,
typically, what is going to be like the setup? They're booking in, they
yeah,
saw an ad. Like normally, what's the setup?
yeah, good question. So they booked in, and it was for like the marketing that they saw
Mhm.
was for like a free. They take a free metabolic quiz, and they're booking in with me to go over their results, if that makes sense.
Okay. So they got Metabolic quiz, booking in for your results.
Yeah.
So got to go over that, and then how do I upsell them to a program? Cool. Let's go through
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So this is what I have so far.
Mhm.
Okay, Christian, looks like you booked on my calendar about possibly like getting help with your metabolism so you can lose weight. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, and just so I have like more context, when you saw the video of Vince talking about like your metabolism, and whatnot, like what was it that I guess like drew your attention to book this call?
Just I haven't been able to lose weight, and it seemed like he really knew what he was talking about.
Okay, and I do have your results here.
Mhm.
And your score is quite low. Does that come as a surprise to you?
No, I mean, yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, and in terms of like help with what you're looking to accomplish with like actually losing weight in your fitness journey, I guess, do you know what it is that you might be like looking for specifically?
Well, really, just a way or a plan, or just find out a way how it can boost my metabolism,
Hmm.
so I can start actually losing this weight.
Okay, and what do you? I mean, I should probably start off by asking like, what are you doing now to actually like sort of lose that weight?
So right now, just trying to just portion control the food I'm eating, and then I've just been going on daily walks.
Okay. How long have you been doing like the portion control and like daily walks? Like how long you've been doing that for?
6 months.
6 months. Okay. What sort of, I mean, what's got you doing it like that way?
It's just I didn't really know where to start, but I felt like going on walks and just trying to eat less was a good starting point.
Okay. And when you think of like your ideal lifestyle, like what would be your target weight, so to say?
I would mean like 160.
Okay. And what are you at? I'll ask the forbidden question. Like what are you at right now?
Just over 110.
Okay. Okay. So carrying around like an extra like 50 pounds, is that right? I'm no
Yeah.
mathematician, but okay. So I gotta ask you, man, like having that extra 50 pounds on you, like how is that like is that impacting your day to day?
Yeah, definitely. It's probably a little too soon for that.
Okay. So can I ask at that point, can I ask like, okay, like that extra 50 pounds, like how is that showing up in your daily life? Can I ask that question?
Yeah, like that should be fine. Like typically what I'm going to want to understand what's like, oh, like I need like this. Like what are they looking for? Well, what's coming up for you right now that even have you looking for that?
Okay.
Right at the very top of connection. So I get a little bit more tangible problem or goal at the very top. Okay, because you have to understand expect in fitness there's going to be two pain points. Them not knowing how to lose the weight and them having the weight.
Okay.
So depending which way you want to go, but I would want you want to tackle both of them, but depending on which way you want to go, whichever one first, right?
Okay.
Whether it be the weight or whether it be them not knowing the skills. Right? If you're gonna like them not knowing the skills, like, okay, well, what do you feel like is missing? Maybe something you're doing or not doing that's just causing you not to lose any weight. Well, what do you mean? How long has that been going on? Right? What do you feel like's causing that stagnation though? Like, is that having an impact on your day to day, really trying to lose all this weight, but just plateauing? I mean, I don't want to assume because I'm in my body, I'm not in yours, but being overweight and not knowing how to lose it, like how does that actually like feel? right? So you can get those. Or if you just want to go, what's causing, like, the question I would probably ask is like, well, what's coming up for you right now that would even have you wanting to lose an extra 50 pounds?
Okay, and you'd ask that
Like
like
that's the top, like that's a problem. Like if you want to get, like, you got the 50 pounds, and then like that's probably a really easy way for them to start telling you their pain.
okay,
Because what can happen is, especially if we try to go a little bit too deep too early, people are going to be a bit guarded.
right,
People who are more open, they'll just straight up and tell you. But if some people are going to be like, they either have like an ego or they just don't want to admit that they have a problem, asking them why they would even want to lose that weight, like it'll be an easier way to get a problem. And then
yeah.
from there, it's your job to, one, clarify how long has it been going on, what's causing it, what impact does it have on their day to day, and how does it make them feel, or what personal impact is it having.
So Christian, can we like kind of like switch roles real quick? I don't know.
Yeah.
Would it be okay if we can switch roles?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So it's like, hey man, booked in about possibly getting some help with your metabolism so you can lose weight, right?
Yeah. Sounds
Okay. Cool, man. Made it to the right spot. Just so we're on the same page, like, what attracted you to just what we're doing over here and made you want to go ahead and book in the call today?
Well, I saw the ad with Vince and he said it was it was free, and I just thought
Yeah.
I might as well try and like figure out like what's going on with my metabolism.
Okay.
That's causing me to, not actually be able to lose
Yeah.
weight.
Cool, man. And besides, just understanding more of the basic information, do you know what type of help you're actually looking for? That way you can lose weight?
Not really. I've tried some things in the past, but
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted to see like what you guys would be offering.
Yeah. Well, what we do is it's fairly custom. So it's just going to come down to what you feel like you actually, might need. So what's even coming up for you right now that even have you, looking for possible help to lose weight?
I'd like to lose about like, 10 to 15 pounds and just
Okay.
kind of
Well, is it like 10 or is it more 15? Be real with me. I'm on your team here.
yeah, I guess 15.
Okay. And currently right now, what are you doing to actually try to lose that 15 pounds?
Well, I only, I go to the gym 3 days a week, but I'm
Uh-huh.
not, I know I need to go like, maybe 4 or 5 to actually lose the
Yeah.
weight.
Okay.
I'm not like counting macros or anything like that, but I
Yeah.
try to just like starve myself, in the mornings and only eat like one big meal.
Oh, yeah, that could be an issue. How long have you been doing it that way?
Oh, good question. Probably like 2 years now.
Okay. Well, what caused you to just, I guess, like, starve yourself, just eat one meal a day?
Less calories in, it's gonna show up less, on the
Yeah.
scale.
Yeah, potentially, man. Because what do you feel like? I don't know, maybe something you're doing or not doing in your approach right now that's just causing you to not being able to lose this 15 pounds.
Um, Good question. I have some cheat meals, I think I eat out a lot. Like I'm working 14 hours a day. I'm always on my
Yeah.
feet. So kind of like fast food before I go home to the wife.
Okay. I
Something
mean, and
easy.
and we help quite a few people. They're busy. They have a cheat meal now and then, and they're still able to really get down to the weight that they're looking to get to. So what do you feel like you might be? I don't know. Maybe missing that's causing you to hold on to it.
Um, Maybe some accountability won't hurt.
Oh, how do you mean?
Just someone to like really give me like the blueprint of like, hey, this is
Okay.
what you need to do and like
Yeah.
what you eat and when and like specific exercises. I've never really been in the gym that
Okay.
much.
So do
Between
you feel like you just don't have that structure or that accountability right now?
Yeah, I'd say that's fair to say.
Okay. Well, how long has that been the case?
My whole life, man. My whole life. I've
Oh,
never
wow. Well, what do you feel like? I don't know, maybe like what impact do you feel like that's actually having on your weight loss journey, just not having the structure or accountability?
well, I hurt my knee a few years ago,
Okay.
so it's pretty hard to actually get in the gym and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But I would say like having the extra weight, I got high blood pressure. Um,
Um,
my metabolism is slower,
Okay.
and I'm not getting any younger, so it's just getting harder and harder to actually like lose the weight.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. Because I don't want to assume on my end. It's
Mhm.
like I'm in my shoes, I'm not in yours. But carrying around this extra weight and just not knowing how to lose it, like how does that actually feel?
Oh man, it feels pretty bad, man. Like I have a 6-year-old daughter, and she pokes
Uh-huh.
my belly at the beach, like in front of
Yeah.
strangers. Feels kind of weird, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you really picture like in that moment
Hmm.
when she pokes your belly, like what comes up for you?
Um, Almost like a mix of like maybe like embarrassment and
Yeah.
shamefulness, honestly.
Yeah. Because when we're talking about like getting rid of the belly and getting into like the best shape, do you feel like 15 pounds is really like that goal that we're trying to achieve, or is that just the number you want to say out loud?
I mean, if I could kind of like snap my fingers, it would be a
Yeah.
little bit more, but 15
Well,
is
what would be the actual goal then?
more like 25 to 30.
Okay, it's like 25 to 30. All right. Then from there, depending if you want to dive more into having the extra 30 pounds, like besides, daughter poking around, like what else are you running into? You can dive more into like the being overweight. I feel
Mhm.
like for me, it's easier to just transition right into like attacking what they're doing now and then attacking like them being overweight, like what it's actually doing to them. And then from there, I'm just gonna want to widen the gap as much as possible. So
Okay.
I didn't want to, in my mind, I didn't want to challenge the 15 pounds like too much at the beginning
Right. Yeah.
because I don't have as much like trust or credibility yet. But further on in the call, especially like if they're talking about like, oh, they have like a visible belly, like, bro, you need to lose a lot more than 15 pounds. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like now I have leverage to where if they did push back, I have leverage to push that up. Right. Before, if I just say like, because again, can you see them? That might be a really shitty thing to do. Like, bro, definitely need to lose more than 15, right? Don't do that. But like now, if you have like that leverage that they have a belly or something like that, you can push that up. And now they need to lose twice as much as what they told you at the beginning. Just because, again, if you're talking to like a guy who's a little bit more shielded or guarded, they're not going to want to just come out and tell you all of their problems
Yeah.
just right off the get-go.
I've listened to some of the call recordings from reps currently, and
Yeah.
usually they start with like, I mean, they do a lot of like kind of like they don't really dive deep and like build the gap that well.
Yeah.
Uh, but a lot of the prospects tell them, it's like 5 pounds that they want to lose.
Yeah, if it's something where it's so low like that, like 15 pounds you can at least work with. If they
Yeah.
tell you like 5 pounds, I would address that right away.
How
Well,
so?
is that the actual goal or just a goal you want to say out loud? Be real with me.
Okay. Could you say something more along the lines of like, um, okay, and if you knew like you couldn't fail, like how much weight would you actually want to lose?
Like you can say that.
Yeah.
Um hmm, I mean you could test it out,
Okay.
but it's a little less punchy.
Okay.
Because on some level, I'm telling them stop lying to me.
Yeah, true, true.
Right. So that's why I want to go across that way of like, well, is that your actual goal or what do you actually want to get to? Like, be real with me, man. Like, I'm here to help. I can only help if you're completely open with me.
Yeah.
And then they'll kind of laugh and things like that because it's a little bit playful too. Because I'm not taking it too seriously, especially early on in the conversation. Now, when we get to like solution awareness, deeper into the conversation, we can be a little bit more like serious. But at the beginning of the conversation, my main focus is getting them to connect with me and not lie to me. That's all I'm focused on.
Yeah.
Tell me the truth, and like there's no resistance.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
That
Cool.
was super helpful, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, Pierre, let me go ahead. Let me pull you up here.
Yo, what's
Howdy,
happening,
howdy,
bro?
dude. Nothing much. Just being
No,
We're in staying out of
actually,
trouble.
I've been checking out your content for the past like 3 weeks, dude. Fucking love it, man. Just been going through the scripts that you have. Also gave the pre-handling scripts for the setter team that we have.
Yeah.
Absolute baller. But the thing that I've been facing lately is that, okay, so with fast thinkers, I can pitch the steps and they can they resonate with them and then they buy. But with slower thinkers, they tend to give me these objections of like, I need to digest it, I need to feel it out more. So I'm not really sure like how to go about it. Like as much as I try to.
I don't sell food.
Sorry?
So I don't sell food. Nothing to digest.
Okay.
So it's not like, first, if they're telling you they need to think about it, just understand there's a couple things that are probably coming up. Okay. Now, every now and again, you're just going to run into somebody where it doesn't matter how the sales call went, they're just going to tell you that. But on some level, if they're telling you that they need to think about it, they need to digest it, this, and this, they're on some level, they're telling you they have another concern, but they don't trust you enough to actually tell you it. So, first and foremost, like, what do you sell?
So business coaching. So either people
Okay.
starting a business or scaling.
So I assume most of the think about it are from people who are starting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you really want to hone down. Oh.
Yeah.
So you really want to make sure you hone down in like putting a frame in at the very beginning of like, oh, I like working with people who are like in the 9 to 5 looking to become a business owner, because like, you know, you go from taking orders to taking action, right? Something like that. You can put that in the very beginning. It just starts to get them to buy into this frame that they're in that transition to be the business owner. And then in the top half of solution, I'm going to go hard in the paint on why they haven't done jack shit. Okay. So it's like, before we started talking today, like, what have you been doing about X, Y, and Z? Because have you been asking that question?
Yeah. So in terms of the discovery, like I'm putting a lot of frames in. I'm really making them feel the pain of them not doing anything. It's sometimes the people that I can't really build so much of a pain point because they have a pretty decent life. So today I had
That's bullshit. And you just saying that right there, you bought into their frame.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So just understand, like, okay, so oftentimes you're going to make leaps and bounds in sales when you just destroy your own limiting beliefs. Decent compared to what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's always that next level. So it's just about like, you don't want to accept it. The only thing you're going to fall into is people who are doing decent. Because like, what does it even mean? But let's say they're making over 100,000, 200,000, making $1 million a year. You're more likely to believe them.
Sure.
Even though it's bullshit. So it's like, why aren't they making 5? Like, they hopped on a call for a reason. Like, somebody who's truly content with life, they don't hop on sales calls, dude. So, but they have an ego because they're at a certain level. So they don't want to admit to you that they have a problem. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, because like typically when they say like they're doing decent, like they're already in a business or like they have like a high paying job, like typically what's the archetype?
So today I had 2 calls. One with this guy's like, forgot, he's running some kind of business making probably like 300,000 a year.
Okay.
So about 200,000. And the thing that I understood, he's comparing himself to people that are making that 100,000 a year. And then I kind of uncovered that. And then I put that frame like, dude, if you really want to be one of those baller dudes, you have to stop comparing yourself to these lower guys and compare yourself to these 1 million to 10 million guys. So I really put that in front of him. But the main thing that I got in the end was like, he doesn't know he's not sure if he wants to put the extra effort in to actually become that person.
Okay. Do you have that call?
Yeah.
Drop it in the call review. I'll take a look at it.
That'd be great.
Yeah. I feel like that'll be a good learning opportunity for everyone. Because yeah, like those, Like you can't accept that. There's a call recording that I had that's in my call
Yeah.
vault where it's like
The
he's making
700K
20.
guy.
Yeah. Well, there's that guy, but there's like because he bought into the frames like hook, line, sinker. There's a guy who's making 20-30,000 per month, looking to get to a million plus per year, and like he gave up more of a fight. So that's also a good one to take a look at as far as like just not accepting their beliefs. Like I don't care what they're making, and this is just something like you can like everyone can just have solace in if they're not where they need to be, or if the person you're selling for is much further than they are, then who cares? If the person you're selling for makes 5 million a year and this person hops on and they make 4 million a year, they still want to get that extra million. You know what I mean? So it's like they still have room to grow. So you just treat them the exact same way, and you don't move forward until you get actual tangible problems. And because the thing is, if you do move forward and you don't get these problems, they don't buy into the frames, then they're not going to buy anyways. So I'd rather, go for it and you fail and you lose a sale earlier on because you went for it, rather than not going for it and we still lose a sale later on just because we didn't go for it. You know what I mean? And then you going for it, definitely role play, practice these type of prospects that you have a hard time with. But when you do go for it on live sales calls, you'll start to find out where the actual line is. But if you're never testing the line, you'll never find it.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah, super.
Okay, cool. So just go ahead, drop the call. Just tag me in the post too, and just put it in the call review section.
Okay, I got you.
Okay,
So,
cool. Absolutely.
I just had the question because we have 2 minutes, because I'm not sure if someone wants to jump in.
Yeah.
No, for the people that just want to feel it out, like these slower thinkers, like, is it just because they don't trust me and they don't want to really tell me what is actually on their minds?
So, I mean, it depends on the person. So some people legitimately, they like go throughout their life making very slow decisions, but it's still not a good decision-making process. So we don't buy into like that's the way to go about it. So again, there's not like, okay, these are, action takers versus, non-action takers. Like, no, everyone's an action taker. It just depends what are their buying decisions. So I need to understand that for them. And if there's something that's holding them back, like, oh, like I always make decisions this way. Well, dude, making decisions this way got you this result. Do you want to keep on making decisions this way? You don't say that to them, but that's the thought process that you go through. It's like basically as a salesperson, like you're gathering all this information and then you just show it to them. Like, I get you make decisions that way. This is the result it gets. Do you want to do something different? You know what I mean? So it depends on the type of person, the conversation, but don't buy into their belief that they're a slow thinker. What the fuck does that even mean? You know what I mean? So it's like, they might have like a typical decision-making process that they do where they take a couple days or blah, 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 or whatever it is. But just understand that that does not help them and they are not where they want to be. So if they keep on making decisions like they always have, then they're going to keep getting results they always have. So if they're looking for different results doing the same exact thing, then definition of insanity.
Yeah, no, that's my issue. I buy into people's stuff because it's kind of like I have to rework my brain, but yeah.
No, and it's totally fine, man. I would say the mentality I would always have is like you're big brother. You want what's best for this person, you love this person, but you don't accept their bullshit. You know they can do more. And if you come at it from that frame where it's like you just truly want what's best for other people and you come at it from the frame of service, that you want what's best for them, but you don't accept their limiting beliefs, then that's how you're able to challenge and it not get combative. Make sense? Okay, cool.
Appreciate you.
All righty. Okay. Running a little bit over, but let's get through everybody. Speed run it. Dan, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up, man? How are you?
How'd it, dude?
Good. So, 2 questions. So I don't sell like a coaching program or anything, right? Like I own a video production company, so it's more of a service. So in that regard, like, would I still do, because I know you mentioned like about maybe not doing like identity in that case. Like, is that correct? Like you wouldn't really go that route?
It's less applicable
Yeah.
typically. Now, it still can come up of like, well, what type of like what it really just comes down to like what is the main outcomes they're looking to get. And it just also is going to come down to as well, especially when you're talking to business owners, they tend to be more action focused anyways, because they have a business, right? They had to take some action to get there. So you tend to need to do less heavy-handed stuff to get the same type of result.
Okay. And the identity stuff, that's different from the pre-handling objections, right? Because the pre-handling, that's like shifting a mindset or a belief.
Yeah.
But
And like pre-handling, no matter what, if you hear red flags, you pre-handle those. But typically, oftentimes, especially when I'm dealing with more individuals, or if I'm dealing with like, a small business where it's just like one business owner, like one guy, you know what I mean? That's pretty much B2C. You can really bridge in and tie them down into identity. But it just comes down to, if you don't see that in that person, right? They're like legitimately like more just looking for a service. You don't need those heavy-handed things. It's only going to come up for when it's needed.
When it's needed. Okay, got it. Cool, got it. And then my second question is, I like had been doing some role plays. I haven't actually asked this question yet. 'Cause I'm working on ads to get some conversations. But the question that I have is like when it comes to like the rationale, when you say, so I could understand what's the main reason why you potentially looking into video content rather than just doubling down on XYZ. But what if you talk to someone and they say like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. Like maybe I should just double down on Facebook ads. So then does that mean I didn't get enough of a good problem, or I have to go back?
Yeah, typically. There's two ways you can always ask it. Like, what's the main reason you would really be looking for, I guess, like a professional to come in and help you streamline that process rather than just hope and pray you can just figure it all out on your own?
Yeah.
You see that tonality just makes it sound like the second option is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So it's like, we don't want to make the second option sound too good. So it's like, and the tone's really important rather than just, I don't know, just doubling down to what you're doing now and just hope it works out.
Yeah. Okay. No, because you're right. When I said it, I made the second option, the throwaway, I made it better.
Yeah.
And then I screwed up because I said like, whoa, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? It's like fuck. But yeah, okay.
It's like, you're making some good points. All right, let's good call, everyone.
Yeah. All right, got it. All right, that's all the questions I had. Thank you. Appreciate
Okay. Yeah, absolutely, man. Perfect. All right. And then Ethan, let me go ahead. Let me pull you up here, man. Howdy, dude.
Howdy. Thanks for that call yesterday. It really helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
So the thing that I'm gonna make this quick. So usually when prospects like tend to tell me, oh, I have an excuse, I need to attend to my daughter, or I need to hop off the call, or I have to attend to my brother's birthday, or my mother just had an accident while we're on the call. Like, how do you usually face that down? Right? Because I saw some people that say, well, we're here on the call, might as well keep going. Or they start like coming up with excuses to get off the call. Like, how do you handle that?
When is it coming up?
Like at the end of the call, usually.
Like in objections.
Yeah, and
Well,
objections.
it's like, on some level, like if they just fucking exit the Zoom, how much can we do?
Not that much.
So then we got to take a look at, if this is coming up frequently, then it's probably a downstream or upstream issue of what makes them feel like they have to lie to me to get off this call. Now, because the thing is, if we assume that they're lying and legitimately their mom just died, oof,
that's
you know what I mean? Like sometimes life really does happen, and that's okay. But if you do run into that, then I would just like slow to call, like whoa, and I can appreciate something's come up, but just kind of like off the record, be real with me. What's actually going on? What's preventing you from moving forward?
Yeah. Some tells me that that's because of the call. Like usually I do a lot of objection handling at the end because I'm still getting better at the whole understanding their deeper problems and not buying into their limiting beliefs that are holding them back. And as a result, like call just goes on for like an hour, half an hour, sometimes even objection handling 2 hours.
Yeah.
And that
if they booked out an hour time slot and like we're 2 hours talking to them, some of it's a little bit fair enough. Like, bro, I got to go pick up my kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then, like that's what I said, it seems like it's more of an upstream issue. So if we're
Yeah.
objection handling for that long, which again, sometimes it's just going to happen,
Mhm.
go back, take a look at your calls and understand what was a real objection. How could I have identified it earlier? And how could I have streamlined that process? Because typically,
Okay.
when are you dropping price?
Near the end.
Like time.
Like time 45 minutes usually.
Let's cut that down by at least 10 minutes.
Okay. I'm gonna make that the new goal then.
Right. So it's like typically I'm going to want to drop price 30 minutes, 35 minutes. So I have 30, 25, 30 minutes to handle objections and get it in a time frame of the hour time slot. Okay. So without taking a listen to your calls, it's going to be hard for me to pinpoint exactly why your calls might be going on longer.
No,
But
that's
like if
fine.
you take it back and you listen to your calls, like something that I would always do is like have your script in front of you
Okay.
and just like go through like how closely did I follow the script? If I went off track or like I'm reframing or I'm doing things, how quickly did I get back on track? Did I do it as effectively as I have could? Like, was there a way I could have done that quicker? Did I let this person ramble on too much? Right. That tends to be one big thing that they just let people ramble on too much. Like we got a lot of talkers. Okay. So it's like, am I keeping this person on point? Like that's also gonna be as well. Because you also have to understand, like if we're an hour and a half into the call, like, dude, who has that energy? Like
No,
normal people don't
very
have that
few
energy
people.
to just be sitting there back and forth with you for an hour and a half. So like they're losing out on steam, they're losing out on emotion, they're losing out on energy, and now they got to go pick up their kids because they only scheduled it for an hour.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, so it's an upstream thing.
Yeah, typically.
Cool. All right. Appreciate it.
All right. And then Abdullah, you there?
Yeah, I'm right here. Yeah, I
Can't
had to
see you,
skip
dude.
class to ask you this question on here. I'm gonna try to open my camera.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you a question. Right now, I'm doing cold calls until I get my ads set up. So I'm cold calling like blue collar workers, like power washers and all that. I basically, the way I do it is I pitch and then I ask them like current situation, like, hey, what are you doing right now to get jobs? How long have you been doing that for? What's that, what's that bringing out for you? What's kind of the goal you're looking for? How many jobs? And then how do I kind of transition into a way where I can ask them like, hey, what's kind of like the problem? Because it's a cold call. I really don't like have that authority, right? So how can I kind of do
Well,
it?
typically you want to go to dive into the problem like on the front end. So the only reason that they're open to having a conversation about their leads is because they have a problem with their current leads now.
Yeah. So how would you ask it? Like,
You know what
how
I'm
would
saying?
you kind of put it?
Well, it's like, okay, so you go through, it's like, are you open to having a conversation about X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. And they say yes. And what we do, it's fairly custom. So it's just going to depend on like X, Y, and Z. Like, for example, like what are you currently doing now to generate leads? How long you've been doing that? And are you 100% satisfied with the results you're actually getting from those leads? Or the way you're generating leads or your marketing process? And like, oh, no, I'm not. Well, why aren't you?
Well, what if they say they are? Because sometimes, I'll be dealing with a lot of people that are just like annoying, I guess, and they just say yeah, like because they got so many calls. So
Yeah,
it's
well,
like,
again, it's a knee-jerk reaction.
yeah.
Like they're just lying to you, and it's because you sound like another salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
So what we need to do is we need to break the script in their mind. And again, when we're talking about cold calling, we're not going to be able to get everyone over like across the line. It's totally fine. Okay.
Yeah, I find it super hard. Yeah, it's like when I'm running ads, I feel like it's easier. Yeah, I still get that sometimes, but like I still have the authority to ask that question. I mean, like what kind of prompted you to, click on the ad and kind of, look for more help? What are you kind of looking for help for? Whatever the question was, I'm able because it came to me.
Well, and some people you're not going to be able to help.
Yeah.
Just understand that. But if they're willing to, if they don't just straight up hang up on you, on some level, they're at least a little bit interested in what you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
So that infers that there's a problem.
Well, how do I kind of ask it so he can actually give me the problem? What would you kind of say?
Well, like, are you 100% satisfied with the marketing process you have in place now? And like, if you say it like that, well, are you a Like you're 100% satisfied with the right. You slow down and you emphasize the 100 because nobody's ever 100% satisfied with anything. But if they still do say yes, and it's like okay, and I guess is there anything you would change about it though? If you could, maybe like the amount of leads or the quality of leads you're getting, if you could though. I'm like, yeah, I mean, if I could get higher quality leads, oh, why do you feel like that would be important? Getting higher quality leads.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got you. So you lead on to their answers. You try to dig in more deep.
Yeah. Like I'm just especially when we're talking about cold calling, I'm basically searching, is there a problem I could even solve? And if there's not, just on to the next person.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So just don't take that answer. Hey, yeah, I'm 100% satisfied. Dig in more into it, and then if you still can't get nothing, just like hang up on them, like whatever.
It's like, okay, man, sounds like things are going perfect for you, dude. If you ever need any help, just let me know. This is my number. Move on.
Gotcha.
If you do because you
I
got to
hear
take
you.
into account, like if you do like 3 loops, like with somebody cold calling, it's like, are you just gonna spend like 30 minutes like just like looping this guy who doesn't need your help? Or are you just gonna in that same time call 20 other people, have 2 more conversations and get another book call? You know what I mean? So it's not gonna be worth your time.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. And when I'm transitioning from the pitch to like asking, like, going into the questions, I'm gonna be like, how would I kind of ask that
So
from the
at
pitch?
which point?
So, you call them, cold call them, you say the pitch. How would you kind of transition to the question? Like, hey, can I ask you some questions? Like, how would you kind of say that in a way?
Yeah, well, it's like, and what we do is fairly custom. It's going to depend on X, Y, and Z, like what you currently have in place now, and really the like what you might be looking for. For example, how do you currently generate your leads right now? And you just go right into it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll definitely be doing that today. I have a cold calling session soon, so I'll take your advice, man.
Fantastic.
I appreciate you, my guy.
Smack back some appointments, leave the
All right,
wins
guys.
in the group, and let's take it
Yes,
from
sir.
there, guys. If you
All
guys
right,
have
guys.
any questions, definitely go post them in the group, and then I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, brother. Bye-bye.
Bye. Here is that one-on-one call that I did.
Here we go.
Got it figured out?
Yes, I got to figure it out.
Okay. Okay, then we can just go ahead and we can dive on into it. Because I know you said you wanted to focus more on how do we adapt it. So I guess like where would you want to go ahead and start?
All right. Always great questions. I what I've done to try to like make it easy for us, I just write it down. I wrote it down. All the questions, so I can like at least copy and paste for you.
Yeah.
And if you want, I can resend you the picture of the framework that has kind of the structure. Let me see if I can send the message. And I think if we just kind of like go over those questions and you say like, no, bro, like let's rephrase this, let's rephrase that. Why you're asking this at this order? Then I say some nonsense. Then you correct me. We fix the structure. And then I kind of have like something that I can rely on because I have like, how many calls? Let me just check real quick. I have like a couple calls today, like 4 or 5. And so I would try like right away, like try to do what we discussed right now.
Okay.
And if I can come out with a spine with like 30 something questions, more than enough,
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm trying to send for you. Oh, there's a character limit. I don't know how to pronounce that character.
Yeah, character. Do you
Character.
have it just on like a Google Doc?
Yeah. I can send you the doc for sure.
Yep.
Let me just rename this. Spine. Possible spine. All right, let me send you this. And I also need to send you the image again, right? So this is, doesn't hurt. Here's the, it's like generally speaking.
Yeah.
This one. Let me just open. Let's go brutal force. Possible spine.
Okay. Um, oh, there it goes.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of messed up.
Oh,
Because
I clicked it too
I
many
have done
times.
like no formatting, I just like wrote it down.
Yeah, no worries. I clicked it too many times. Now it's just opening everywhere. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead. Let's just dive into this. Okay. So this is from like the very beginning of the call.
This is this is beginning of my life as closer actually. Like no, not the. I mean the intro agenda. I used to do an intro and agenda, like checking connection, like all the good stuff, introducing myself. My name is Rafa, nice to meet you, da 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 da. And then I will go to the agenda, right? Right now, I'm grabbing a problem, like you said.
Yep.
And I have the files open. I'm just going to the where they are saved. Because like since it's like so brand new, I'm just saving stuff and going over.
Okay.
And I put the file on recents and I
Okay.
open through that.
Well, like if you're getting a problem, then like that's all we really need from the beginning. Then it's like, okay, so what's your background? Like, what do you do for a living? So this is more of like a biz up. So they're looking to like do something different, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually,
cool.
sometimes like I have like 2 calls that I was checking people. Someone just bought a property they want to transform in Airbnb, and another one already has an Airbnb that's making 4K. So there's also people who want to going from good to great, I guess.
Okay, so good. So, and that's why like your situation questions are going to morph depending on what they say, because like what they're looking for is what they don't have. So it's like the situation questions. Let's say, for example, like, okay, do you know what type of help you're looking for? Well, I'm looking to get started. The question you would ask after that is, what would even have you looking to get started in the first place? I want to make more money. Cool. What are you currently doing now to make money? Right? Like, what do you currently do for a living? So, like, that's when that would make sense. Okay. Do you know what type of help you're looking for? Oh, really looking to scale things up. Okay. What's coming up for your business right now that would have you, open to outside help to help you scale? Oh, well, we can't do this. Okay. Well, what are you currently, or we're having limitations with this? Like, let's say finding properties. Oh, we're having a hard time finding properties. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Well, what are you currently doing now to find properties? Like, then that would be your situation. Does that make sense?
This is what I'm learning from you. I send you a file that changes the framework. So what I'm learning from you is basically that. So you see, like in connecting, I will like problems that can be framed immediately. Since I'm beginner, like the ones that transition to business owner is one that like even a child, right? Then I go to the problem, like how do you mean, what's causing that? What impact is that having on the thing? But the biggest for me is like, where do you think this is leading you to? This one is amazing. Like every time that I drop this before personal impact, it works. It just works. That's the right way to do it. Then there's, like it's just good.
So are you
yes.
Going more off of this second one or that you just sent me, or the first one, the skeleton?
The first one, like I basically, it's not that I don't look at those things. It's just kind of like I memorize them basically. I just have this habit of kind of like writing down for a little bit, and then see the things that I add to this was like, okay, like when I go to problem awareness, which is not even in the file, right? I usually do that with challenge, and I done what you suggested. Like I moved the challenge instead of asking after the vision, before the vision, because the contrast with vision and consequence is better.
Yeah.
But if you see like the way that I ask those questions in challenge, or that I used to do, they they kind of, it's not like a real challenge, because I think those guys developed that way on the framework because it would be easier for someone who is beginning.
Yeah.
Who's beginning, right? Because you go like, okay, you prepare the consequence with those challenges, but you're not really challenging someone. So the thing, I was like, okay, so now that I go through that, then when I go to problem awareness, I'm searching for things like looking to scale, make more money, research, looking to grow. Of course, researching, research mode, right? Like we have all those things. So I put some questions in that file as well. What's coming up for you right now with the job that you're in that makes you feel is not quite enough? This one, when done properly, lands, but I'm not good enough to use this always. So I kind of go to the two below. So what's coming up for you right now? I love this one. Have you look into more ways to invest or change your current situation and things like that?
Yep. So this question is like, it's important that we can only use this question if they say like, oh, well, I'm looking to make more money. Okay. So like, let's
if
say
they give me those, like, I'm just looking to scale. I'm just researching. I'm just looking to grow. So I was like, okay, well, I guess what's coming up for you right now that like have you looking to grow, you know? So that's kind of like those notes. And then I put in yellow. Yes.
Yeah. So one thing you'd want to do, like, let's say, for example, like, okay, I'm looking to grow. Like, understand, like, that's such a vague answer. It doesn't really give us much because, like, no shit. You know what I mean? So, like, what you typically want to do is like, people, people tend to come to us to definitely, make more, not make less. So, as far as growing, what type of help are you actually looking for specifically, just to see if we can help? Like, so you just re-ask it and just like take it one layer deeper, and then what's coming up for you that would have you looking for that type of help?
As far as growing, great addition to vocabulary. As far as growing, I guess what's coming up for you, or
so you just wanted to get it like one layer deeper. So they're gonna say like, oh, we're looking for help for getting more properties, doing this, doing that. Okay, what's coming up for you that you'd have you looking for potential outside help when it comes to getting properties? Just right now or a little bit, blah blah blah. So it's like, okay, then it's situation. So what do you feel like is missing in your current acquisition process is causing problem? Whatever they just told you that they had.
do you mind if I repeat to you every time that you say something like
go
a
for it,
goddamn
man.
parrot? All right.
Yeah. Whatever you feel like you need, man.
So I guess like, what are you feeling? Like, can you come again? I want to see exactly how you said it.
Yeah. So what do you feel like you're missing in your acquisition process that's causing whatever they said the problem is?
Okay. So I guess like, what do you feel that is missing your acquisition process that actually made you take a look at this?
Yeah. Well, it's like,
Kinda.
so in the like the first problem question, we don't want to say like, take a look at this. We want to say like, we want to add in the problem that they have.
True.
So, and that question is like, I want to verbal pace it out so they understand what I'm saying, but also so they actually sit and they think about the question that I'm asking. So that's a
So what
question
is
I don't want to
missing your
speed through.
acquisition process that you feel that you're not growing enough?
Yeah. Well, let's just say, like,
Yeah.
let's go through it for like an example. Okay. So it's like, do you know what type of help you're looking for?
Yeah, I'm just trying to grow some stuff.
No, I could definitely get it. Typically when people come to us, they're definitely looking to grow, they're not shrink. So when it comes to growing, do you know what type of help you're actually looking for, like specifically?
Yeah, no, like kind of see your guys' strategy, see what could
Yeah.
potentially work for me.
Yeah, and and to be frank, we have a bunch of different things, right? It's just going to depend on like what you feel like you actually need help with. So if you take a look back at your current business right now, like what do you feel like you might need help with, but potentially when it comes to growing?
Yeah, it's hard to get away with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, I'm just going to loop a couple times. And then if you do loop a couple times, and then again, for like whatever reason that you just can't get this motherfucker to admit something. Okay. Then it's like, what's just maybe so I can understand, what's the biggest thing you'd want to change or improve about your acquisition just to see if we can even help over here. Now, I'm very adamant. We do not want to say, what is your biggest challenges? What are your problems? Because you have to understand, like, people who don't want to admit that they have a problem, they're going to push back on words like that. Well, we don't really have like much of like, we don't have challenges, right? So it's like they're going to push back on those words. So you just have to understand, like, that person is just wearing a mask, and we just want to allow them to lower it. So we don't want to use any type of triggering language. People who like are doing a little bit better in business, the main thing is they tend to have hopped on more sales calls just in general. Okay, so their guard's a little bit more up, and they have, depending, right? But a lot of them will have like a thicker mask of like they're pretending to be something because they have outside like they have proof that's like, oh, well, I am this big shot, right? That like people who are like, fresh into business don't have. So it's not like they don't have the same type of problems, and it doesn't mean they're not as insecure as those people who are fresh into business. It just means they are able to build a thicker mask. So you just have to do a little bit more of work to get that to lower.
Got it.
Make sense?
Yeah. Tone is key.
Yeah. Tone is really key.
Is key to this. All right. Yeah, man, is exactly what we're doing. Like if every stage I can get like a quick scheme of questions that I can understand a little bit more. I don't know if we can put this like in an hour, but
yeah,
let's
well,
try.
it's like right now it looks like you have this down right. So it's like, okay, like in problem,
Yeah, but
like
this
asking
one,
this
I kind of have to put that in those 30 questions, because if I try to put that in the same order, doesn't have the same effect that I use your order. Right?
Yeah.
So I kind of, because maybe you can tell me, bro, I don't want to say that, but your first framework is a complete trash no matter what they say, right? That could be an option, right?
Yeah,
But
well, it's
even
like I'm definitely biased as far as the framework I use, right?
of course.
So it's like I would say, man, just like use what works. So I would just come down to like if this framework you notice like, hey, like doing it this way just works better, just do it that way.
Because here's the thing, no, it doesn't work better. Like it's just I don't feel that I could, just because looks like to me, I'm not qualified enough to affirm. But if I go with my feelings, bro, come on, right? I even put like all together now, because if the guys waver out, so what's coming up for you right now in the way that you're doing investments that make you feel that is not quite enough to get the type of returns that you want, like using basically all three combined, like then this rationale, I think the rationale is like, okay, super important and wasn't in my first framework.
Yeah.
To the point that I know that we discussed a bunch of things, but like from where I'm standing right now, okay, rationale is like, you have to do it. It's not even an option. Like you have to do it. So how come this wasn't in my first framework? So there's another gigantic room for improvement. So I was like, where should I put the rationale? Like I think I should put in solution awareness, but then becomes like, where, like, how do you think like short-term rentals could potentially work for you? And then have you ever tried this before? And what is that attract you? This is all in the other framework, but I feel that those things are in the framework because they haven't figured out. In their way, they done in a different way, the problem capture, and they felt the need to put those three questions near vision. Now, I don't feel the need of those those questions if I ended up asking them instead of like talk about the weather, right? So I already got there. So now I can use this space, this thing to put different questions. Which one should I put? So right now I'm trying to put those that I send you in this file and the things that I'm learning from you. So I go over like, okay, let's go deep in the problems, the first problem that I got. And then I go to rationale. And then after that, I go to vision again. Then when I go to challenges and has the like, oh, how many hours a week you can invest for this? It was something that I used to, basically I don't have, because I used to remember what I want to do with them. So when I go to commitments, I want to know if they're ready, available, right? And willing, right? Like they want to do it. Like, do you believe that this could work for you? That kind of stuff, right? So when I go to, I ask them, why do you think now you're in a position to start something new? Oh, okay, that makes sense. And how many hours a week you think you can set aside for this? 7 hours. Oh, all right. Like, that kind of question.
Yeah.
These were their commitments, right?
Right.
But now I have a commitment from you that sounds better right away. But it's so many files because I printed out. There's like so much stuff.
Yeah, like I'm my main focus is just like, is there a commitment to change? Like that's the really only
Exactly.
commitment like I need. Because all the logistic stuff, like it just, if you're committed to change, like that's all that fucking matters, right? Like you'll make everything else work.
That's what I
So
think is genius.
yeah,
Like I saw
so
you
like
dropping
that's all I'm gonna
consequence.
focus on it.
So good. Okay, let's do this now.
Okay. So like then we go through, okay, we get the problem, and we just always want to just tie it into whatever they had already told us. So connection, like at the beginning of the conversation, super important that we pull out a real thing. Okay. And then we probe, just like you said, like, how do you mean? What's causing that? How long? Impact? What is that leading to? And then how does that feel? Right? Or like, what's that doing to you?
Those
So
phrases is super important for me when you say like, oh, I don't want to assume I'm in my shoes. I don't have this vocabulary. So every time that you use those things, like, oh, this is the right, So if you can drop in this recording some rephrases from those questions,
So it's
then I
like,
can
yeah,
write it down
I
after.
don't want to assume like I'm in my shoes, I'm not in your shoes. Like those things are really important to help them like let their guard down a bit. And also, so you're able to pull out like what they might feel like is an obvious answer, but it's an answer that it needs to be said out loud. And then when we get into like tougher questions, sometimes I'll say, well, the question we really have to ask ourselves is, and I'll lead into it. Or if I'm an objection handling, it's a really obvious question. I know it's a little bit cheesy, but are you 100% happy with where you're at right now? Right.
Why
So
not?
something like that, then you can go into it. So it just depends. I actually dropped a call, like an objection handling call from like the mastermind that I did earlier today. And then one of them, like I did a role play where it's like, drop the cheesy line and like then dig into it. Right. So definitely you could take a look at that. But like so far, man, the structure looks to be good so far. Because a lot of people say that is what's the main reason you might be looking into learning short-term rental skills to grow your income rather than just going out and getting another job, or hope and pray, figure it all out on your own.
I use more hope and pray, just so you know.
Yeah. So
because I you suggest Owen, and I was like, okay, like every time I suggest something to him, I just do it.
Yeah. So that one's really good. If you get somebody who's already doing something, for example, it's like what's besides XYZ, what's the main reason you might be looking for, I guess, like outside help to streamline the process rather than just continue to, I don't know, just double down with what you're currently doing now. Right? You can always do the double down. Like let's say they're cold calling fucking leads. Like, why don't you just make double the cold calls, try to double the sales, go that route? And you always just want to make it sound a little bit like ridiculous. Like you throw it away.
Oh, and do it better going that route. You do like
yeah. Like why don't you just do that?
Why don't you just
right? And they're like,
right.
I don't want to do that.
Like,
fair enough.
And then figure it out on your own.
Yeah. So it's like because when we were talking about like getting a point across, there's a couple different ways, because just understand the intent that they view what you're saying, like it changes the meaning of it. It changes the value of it. So you can either use your tone or use your body language or do both. Okay. Most effective is both. So if you notice when I say that question, like body language wise, I'm doing this. Right. So if I just did that, why don't you just figure it out on your own? Like that will have an effect. But if I also use my tone, why don't you just, figure it out on your own? That will have an effect as well. And if you just do your tone, like, so it's like whatever you do to get the point across, just understand, like, as you're working on your tonality, you can use body language to make up for the difference.
That's true.
Okay. So like it can help you to bridge the gap of what you're trying to get across. So I guess what's the main reason you might be looking for like outside help when it comes to streamlining this process rather than just, doubling down with what you're currently doing now, just help you figure all it out. So it's like I'm making a distinction between the two and throwing the second one away. Like that's something I could do with my body language that gets the point across, but I also want to make sure my tone is doing the same thing too. Okay. And tone just takes a little bit longer to really pick up on all the different nuances. Going back, listening to your calls, really important. A lot of times it's just mimicking what other people do. But I'd say the biggest tone hack that you can do is because for most people, like we're social beings, tone and is innate once you understand why you're asking each of these questions and what emotion are you trying to invoke in the questions that you're asking. Once you understand the why and the emotions you're trying to invoke, then it's
do you
just
have
like,
a list on that?
yeah. So there's
this is stage you want this emotion, this is stage you want another emotion.
Yeah. So it's like I'll run you through real quick. Okay. So at the beginning, so there's 4 main types of tone. So there is going to be curious, challenging.
Oh no. Okay.
Right.
No, I get that. I guess this one.
Yeah. Concerned, challenging, concerned, and then there's like playful. Okay. So at the beginning, we want to be curious. Okay. Yeah. Why do we want to be curious? We want them to feel like we actually want to understand what's going on. Like that's what it comes down to. So like the why behind it is I want them to let their guard down. I want them to understand like I'm actually genuinely trying to understand where they're at. So I'm going to be curious.
So every time that I should be curious means that I come from understanding only.
Yeah, so you're trying to understand and you're trying to like have them let their guard down. So you're not just every other sales rep, right? So and there's 3 different ways that you can really hone in on your tone. Number 1 is going to be your focus. Okay, what is your focus for this question? Is your focus really trying to understand and really trying to help them? If it is, then you'll have that tone come across. Number 2 is your language. You can say, "Well, I'm curious." What just saying that alone will help you dial in the tone. 3 is going to be your body language, your physiology. So it's like you lean in, you make a curious face. Like this will naturally just make you more curious. Okay. Like it'll just come across in your tone without you really even having to do much. Okay. So those are the like, it's the 3 pillars of tone is going to be, again, focus. What are you focusing on? What is your body language? And then what is your language? Okay. So once we get into problem, well, in situation, we're still curious. Okay. Once we get into problem, we're curious, but we start to add in more concern because they're telling us problems. Okay. So why? Because people will mirror your emotions. And if they are telling you problems, if you're talking to your friend and they're telling you like they have all these problems, like you should be concerned for them. Because what can happen is when you're talking about people's problems, and what I can see in some of the calls is people want to, it's it's a hard conversation to have, like a lot of people's having problems, and then we want to ease the tension, like we laugh or like we do things like that, which eases the tension. They reflect back that emotion, and then that problem's not as serious in their mind. But if you're genuinely concerned for them when you run into these problems, then like that amplifies that emotion in their mind.
This makes a lot of sense.
So it's like you're going to be more concerned. When you get into, hey, like, what have you been doing before? Like now we're curious when we're a bit skeptical and challenging. Why?
Skeptical.
Because something has been holding them back and they aren't being all that they could be. So that's why you're skeptical and a bit challenging because they haven't lived up to what they needed. Okay. So again, using our body language, using our focus, using our words, right? So it's like we can use our words like, oh, I'm a bit concerned, like what's going on? Okay. Like you want to say, well, I'm skeptical. Well, you might, but it's like, again, like getting that point across. And then when we're going into more future pace, okay, just wanting to understand, it's very light, it's very curious, and you're more happy that they're telling you this information. Like you got to think about like, why are you like that? If you're talking to like your best friend and they're telling you like all this cool shit they wanted to do, like you should be genuinely happy that they have a vision for their life. Because very few people do. And very few people get to talk about it. So it's like, you're just very light, you're very curious. And it's like, dude, you're excited that they're excited about this, which would just allow them to also open up more. like you genuinely care and you genuinely want to know more about them. Okay. Then when we're moving down to consequence, that's when it's going to become a bit more concerned and challenging. So it's like, what if this continues? So it's like you're concerned of what if this continues, but you're also a bit challenging of you've allowed this to get to this point. And then when you're getting commitment questions, you're a bit more challenging as well. Because you're just like, hey, man, we don't have magic pills. Like, are you actually committed to do this?
Yeah, I forgot to write this one down. You use this one with owners, really good.
Yeah. So it's like that's going to be a high level overview as far as the tone. Okay. But like just understanding, why am I asking this question? What am I trying to get out of it? What's the emotion I am looking to invoke?
No, this was very helpful. Because you can watch like 45 minutes, but this was a layup. Like, bro, it's just this.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. So it's like that's going to give you like a high level overview. And again, like sometimes like you're going to need to use like, you know, different tones in different spots, but like it's just understanding like the why behind it. Because sometimes like in a certain spot, you might need to be challenging when you normally want it on like a majority of your calls. Like that's totally fine. Like as long as you know like why and where you're going, like that's all that really matters. Okay. And like you'll start to feel the right tone coming out of you. And then like always going back and listen to your calls. What I would always do is I'd listen to my calls. Like one, already knowing the end outcome in mind. So what I'd go back in a review, okay, like I know what the problems are. Was there anything I missed that could have got me to the problem sooner? Was there anything that I missed that could have gotten me deeper into the problem? When I was going into the problem, did my tone help them open up or did they close off? Okay. So during the call, like when I'm actually talking to somebody, I can read their body language. But when I go back and I review the call, I want to spend extra time looking at their body language. Are they a bit nervous? Are they like touching their neck? Are they like, you know, being a little bit finicky? Whatever it is. Okay. Like something you can pay attention to that a lot of people don't even notice is like blink rate. So if somebody is very comfortable, they have a
Was I
slow
even
blink rate.
working? Of course, blink rate.
Right. But if it starts to go quicker, then like that is something that shows like they're nervous. So it's like, okay, did I say something in the discovery that made them nervous? Or when I dropped the price, like they were nervous and I didn't pick up on it. Like you can start to pick up on these different things of like being able to read people. So I'd go back, I would like try to read their body language, understand, was there any way I could have gotten to the problem quicker, dug deeper into it? And then did I miss anything to handle the objection that I got at the end? Because that's so now I'm like searching for, like, let's say I got a think about it. Okay. Like uncertainty. Now I'm going through the process, like, oh, they had uncertain behavior here, or like uncertain language here. I didn't address it. Okay. So now I need to understand, like, okay, this phrase, this language is probably like uncertain. So I need to go back and like when I hear it again, like now I can start recognizing patterns. So that's really how you speed up the amount of like sales calls you have to take in order to get really good at reading people. Make sense?
Totally.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay. So like that's what I would highly recommend as far as, and then just going through, like having your process up, right? Like the questions you have, and did you deviate from that process? If you did,
A lot. Yeah. Because
yeah,
sometimes
if
it
you,
doesn't make sense if I force the next question. So I
yeah,
just talk a
so
little
like,
bit more.
so if you did, why did you deviate? Did it make sense? And was it as precise as it could be? So the biggest thing as well is like, let's say we notice like our calls go long. So, but it's because like we're deviating off the process, but like I can still deviate off the process and get my point across in a quicker, more efficient way. Right. So is there a way that I can do that? And that's how you can just start to really hone in on all these different things. And then this is also really great. Like when you have somebody you can ask questions to, because like as a coach, like on some level, without listening to all your calls, like it's a little bit of guesswork on what's going to be the best thing for you. Now, again, I've helped tons of people, so it's like I have a pretty good guess. But if you go back, you listen to your calls, you notice these patterns, you notice this, and this, and then you ask very pointed questions, Like that's how you get to like that next level very quickly. It's like you do like the brunt of the work, and then you have somebody who's been through that as well be like, okay, this is how you solve that problem that you're running into. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's gonna take a while.
Yeah. And it's like, and that's fine, right? Because you're talking about like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months of just like hard work, dude. And then once you have that skill set in place, like, yes, like you should never just say, like, okay, I'm not working on my skill set anymore. But then it can just become something to where it's like, it's an hour a day you're listening to your calls instead of like a couple hours
No,
each day
I
to
love
put
doing
into
this.
it. Right.
Yeah,
So
no, I
it's
love
like,
doing this. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, put it in the work now, and then, dude, fucking your income will shoot through the roof.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we got through like the rationale.
Yeah,
And then from there,
and then usually what I'm searching, like these are like reminders of the frames, right? Because
okay.
like through all those stages, I'm trying
Yeah.
to, because this is what I'm trying to focus on, right? So every time that I get any of these, the limiting beliefs that are under the yellow mark, like I will pull that and address that right away. Like looks like I'm doing like a pro, right? But I'm trying to do that. So I put those reminders, but it's crazy because like if maybe I'm not asking in the right tone, but kind of could come right away in connecting sometimes. It's like right away. It's kind of crazy, especially if like women, excited women can come right away. Sometimes can come in problem awareness, can come a limiting belief. Sometimes the person doesn't give me a limiting belief right away, but then for some reason, when I reframe one or two questions after, then they give something.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I already missed some spots just so you know, because you're like, oh, how are you going to go? Sometimes when I have to give a quick read, because I don't remember exactly what to say, doesn't sound right. And it's better sometimes that when it comes in my head, I just say it the way it comes. And even if it doesn't go right, some way, somehow the person answers. Like it's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. So when we're talking about like getting to the belief, right? So it's like before we started talking today, what have you been doing about solving this problem? Like, why haven't you been doing anything? So that's how you're typically going about it.
Yeah, not that straightforward, right? Because I like to do, use the one like, can I make a suggestion? Like, can I share a perspective? Like, can you see how the way that you put things?
So like typically when you're going about it, like, okay, so before we started talking today, like what have you been doing about like getting you to the point where you can start your own business, get you at 10,000 per month, or what have you been doing on that front? Okay, so what prevented you from doing anything in the past? Right. So I'm gonna want to ask that question there to get that, like what's prevented them, to then bridge into either of the reframes. Does it make sense? Right. So then once I get that, like typically you'll get a belief. Sometimes you'll get some surface level stuff and you'll just have to ask another question. Oh, I just haven't had the time. Right. Typically from there, if they say something like that, you can just go, well, can you see how time has been led you to being where you're at now? You can go that way. I typically want to use a bit of a comparative frame, take it a step deeper, and then go for it. And typically how it go like, oh, well, I mean, what do you mean by time? And like, oh, well, like, I do this, this, and this. I'm like, yeah, it's definitely interesting. Like, can I share perspective? Yeah, most people we work with are in similar situations, with X, Y, and Z. So I guess like what's been preventing you from the past 2 years from making the time so you could, whatever the outcome is? Like what preventing you from making the time, basically. Then from there, they're going to be like, okay, belief. Okay, then we can bridge into where does that come from? Or do you feel like, can you see how that has prevented you from getting to your outcome? You okay with me saying that?
Yeah. Because it's like a full doc. Like this is what you're saying right now is like so I gave him like a solid time and I put those small ones just to, slowly but surely. Because I think this would be the main difference. Like from where I'm standing right now, I think like this.
Yeah. And especially when you're dealing with people who are like biz op, like this is where you should spend a good chunk of your time. Because if you don't, then the rest of the conversation it's all tied, like their belief is still throughout the conversation. And what I mean by that, like, let's say, for instance, they're scared and because of that, they don't want to make the time, blah, blah, blah. When you're future pacing, like that belief is still like in there. So it's like, it's not as real to them. But if you like eliminate it or get them to buy in that it's not worth keeping that belief, then when you get that future pace, like it's more real, like it's more tangible. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's why I would like, yeah, definitely spend some time there. Even like people who are business owners, like, dude, you should smack those people around.
I have a limiting belief in my head when people wants to check with other people. I agree with them. I know this is flat out stupid because I'm that type of guy. You know, like I think one should talk with a bunch of people besides make a decision. So when people come with that, I just grab like, oh, okay, when is the last meeting? Oh, it's X, Y, and Z. Okay, next hour. This is us. Let's do this, Josh, you know? And that's it. How can I address that to not let the guy go?
So when we're talking about, talking to a lot of people. Now, let's say, for instance, they are, what's something that like in the future you might hire somebody for, like a coach or something like that, or anything, just in general. Like what's something you hire somebody for?
More sales training.
Okay. Well, you know a lot about sales, right? But like, let's just say, at least like to some degree, you know what I mean?
Some degree is fair.
But we could even dive into that. But maybe like a good example would be, or at least to like shape the way that I like to think about it. Like, let's say, for example, you're in your apartment and your air conditioning goes out.
Mhm.
How much do you know about air conditioning units?
As far as ChatGPT knows.
Yeah, you know jack shit, right? So it's like, does it help you to talk to 3 different people about a topic you know nothing about?
That's it.
Right? Like, does it help you? Like, genuinely, like, does it help you? Like, the answer is no. And the only thing that you're wasting is your time, because you don't know which one of these people are being more genuine, not being more genuine, or diagnosing it right. Like, you're kind of guessing. And most of the people are going to come and tell you the same thing anyways. So it's like, does it make sense to talk to 3 people you know nothing, like, about a topic you know nothing about? So it's like, if they don't even know how to start their business, like, does it really help them hopping on another call like this to go ahead and have the same conversation again about a topic that you don't know much about?
How can I phrase this in a way that is not, this is a tough word. What would it be? Condescending? This word exists? Condescending?
Yeah, condescending, right? So it's like, you can go through it. Like, let's say they need to, they say like, oh, it sounds great, I just need to talk to more people, blah, blah, blah. How you typically go about that is, okay, yeah, it's not an issue. Just maybe so I can send the most relevant information to you. You treat it like a smokescreen at first. What were you hoping to get out of those other conversations that maybe we didn't cover here? Right? You want to try to flush it. Or like, what are you hoping to get out of those conversations? So I want to try to get it to time, money, or value. Okay. 9 times out of 10, it's just like, oh, it's like maybe cheaper price or anything
Man,
like
to
that.
me, it's always money. Always money. Always 100%. Like,
so if we can flush it to the money, then we just handle money. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to cross off everything, because I treat it very much like it's a partner objection. Partner objection, you do the same thing. Like, you want to cross off everything, like everything is in line before you can actually go across this concern, because like, it doesn't matter what they have lined up. If literally they have nothing in their bank account, like, it doesn't make sense to spend an extra 10-20 minutes overcoming this concern that you literally can't actually get them across the line.
I don't know. We got $500.
Yeah. Right. Like, yeah, you can go for that. Right. So it's like, if you get like a tie down, like, hey, like, I can do $100 like right now, it's like, fantastic. Let's go ahead and do that. Oh, but I want to talk to these companies first. Then we can go after it. Boom. It's just like, it's like, okay, and like how many companies are you talking to? Oh, I got 2 others signed up. Like, okay, well, why are you talking 2 other companies? Why not 1 other company? Why not 4 other companies? So you start to poke holes a little bit in their beliefs, and like, what were you really hoping to maybe get out of it that we didn't cover today? And then it's like, can I share perspective? It's like, do you value your time? Like typically what I'm going to attack when it comes to talking to other companies is time. That's really what it comes down to. It's their time. Like, do you value their time? Because they're like, how many companies are out there that help people, in real estate, different type of things? Like there's countless. Like you can hop on calls until next year, back to back to back, if you really wanted to. But does that actually help you? No, because the biggest thing we're fighting right now is going to be our time. Right? Because like there's a big difference between checking out different gyms and going to the gym consistently, following a diet plan, following an exercise plan, and getting into shape. You get what I mean?
Wildly different things.
Yeah. But if you don't even know what to look for in a gym, does it help you to go and check out all the different gyms if you don't even know what makes a good gym a good gym? Like, no. So does it help you to talk to different company, and having the same conversation we're having when you've never even been through a program like this before?
Maybe not, and that's it.
Right. So then we would just want to reshape their belief on it.
Yeah, so here's the thing that what I'm like realizing now. Like, okay, you focus on commitment because if they assume that they have something to change, the changing per se will guide them into the right decision, which is like do something that actually changes their situation. And the second thing, instead of proving them something or having like a certain way to say a certain thing, you actually change the meaning. So you don't disagree with them. You just change what looks to be the problem and then fix the thing that they are not sure if it's the problem or not. So it's easy for them to agree because you're not disagreeing what they think that, and they forget about it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't the real thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's all we're doing in objection handling is we need to just change their belief. So that's why if you go into like the what and how of objection handling, I have like the word for word stuff, which is good. Okay. Like kind of give you a footing of that. But then I have that document that just goes over like how do we just change somebody's beliefs? Like what's the framework we can use to like change somebody's beliefs? Like comparative frames, things we can do, bigger picture, like all the different ways we could just change somebody's beliefs. So that way when you are sitting there, you could just think to yourself, like, how do I go about actually helping this person shift and see this from a different perspective? And one way to do it is like, the first person you got to convince is yourself. Right. So it's like, if you think this is fair enough, like sit and like deconstruct your own thoughts. Like, is this fair enough? You know what I mean? Like, is there a valid argument of why it isn't?
Yeah, I was being too lazy about my own recordings. That's for a fact.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say like that's one of the biggest tools you can use is just listening to yourself. Because the thing is, you understand your thought process on a sales conversation. Okay. Well, or you know what you were thinking at the time. Like I don't know what you were thinking at the time. Like I can guess of like where you're going, like where I think you're going. And for most people, like I can see their thought process, which is good. So if you understand your thought process, that's going to be helpful of like, okay, did I get across what I meant to get across the most efficient way possible?
Yeah. You mentioned like that you have some documents. I done a run through the course, but I'm self-aware of my limitations, right? So it take a while. So I haven't invested like a lot of time in objections yet.
Okay.
Because I will save this for last, like the last thing. So I basically right now I just agree with them. Usually, if it's not think about it, I usually agree. If think about it, I just ignore it. I go over, but I don't agree because I don't know. Then I agree, like generally speaking. Then I try to like, if it wasn't for the money or if it wasn't for that, would this work for you? Yes. Then I drop a why, and then I try to deal. This is all I do. So, and I do with whatever comes to my head at a time. And when is like a partner objection, let's put it this way. I used to kind of challenge the dude, right? Especially if it was a dude. I was like, man, come on, you know? But then since like real estate now, they are heavily involved. So sometimes the guy is trying to do something with his wife at the same time. So I cannot use like, oh, like the head, heavy is the head who wears the crown. Like, because if I go, do you think it's fair to put that crown on her? The guys will be like, no, it's not that. The guy gets really defensive. So I ended up like going to the route that is more like, okay, like, so you get home, like you prepare the dinner, you light some candles, she sits down and you talk to her, right? As excited as you can, with all understanding that you had from our conversation today. Now, what happens if even with all that, she says no? Are you doing it anyways? So if the guy says do it anyways, I try to go for the hard close. If the guy says, then we are doing like this together, I would try to convince her, I just try to set up a next call.
So we gotta think about it like this. Okay. So it's like doing it together to what capacity? You get what I'm saying? So it's like I own my own business and my fiance is very supportive and I don't allow her to help, but she'll help with whatever I need her to help with. So you can say she's a part of the business, but it's like, dude, I'm the one who's driving this thing forward. You get what I'm saying? So like how much is she involved? So it's like, and that's not like you're not gonna ask that, but you like that's just starting to shape your thinking. So whose responsibility is it to really make sure you can grow this? Like that's the conversation you're having. Right? Like not who's involved in the decision. Whose responsibility is it to make sure you guys get the right things in place so you can actually make this a reality?
Yeah, those things are under my nose. Jesus.
Yeah. So then, like, because the way I think about the partner objection is one, I want to flush it to something else first and then handle that. But let's say we get it there. It's about responsibility, and then what type of conversation are you going to have? I'm not saying you don't talk to her. What conversation are you going to have? Because you can go to her with a big bill to pay and all these problems, or you can go to her and show her what you've done and lead her to that decision. Which one would you rather do? Okay. So you lead her, why, and then I always do like a bit of like a takeaway as far as like the risk. Like, and dude, if you go to her and she tells you like, no, John, you're gonna make way too much money, buy a Porsche and leave me for a 21-year-old. Like if she tells you that, like we can give you your money back. Like the money is the easiest part, man. The hard part is the commitment to actually change. So again, I'm just like, I'm shifting the belief. I'm shifting the belief from the money to the commitment because that's the hardest part. Commitment's hard.
Yeah,
money's easy.
Commitment to change. Commitment, responsibility, keywords.
Yeah, and that's all I'm talking about. Like money is like it's a side note afterwards. Right? Because if you're committed to change, like you'll give me the money.
I'm having a deja vu right now. That's crazy. Yeah, crazy. So if you take a look at that file, oh, we have like 5 minutes. Okay. Yeah, we have 5 minutes. Because if it wasn't, yeah, like maybe in the next one, like if you can give like a rundown to the things that we discussed, the things that I wrote, I would try to rewrote with more words. And then one thing that I think could be helpful is like, I put those 35 questions with those new rephrases. I try to attach the things that we discussed today to not become too long. We forget objections. We put on the framework now in vogue. And then the next one, if you kind of like, you read them and you say, okay, brother, you have like 3 ways of saying this. 1, 2, 3. Oh, this one, this is a bad question. Just move this one up. Or bro, what is the reason behind this, right? Like those kind of stuff. So I can have something that I can like write it down, like two, three possible combinations from the same structure, and then I can read out loud because I do that to be able to speak. Because you'd be surprised, man. A lot of people come here and they take a long time to learn how to do that kind of stuff because they don't want to pretend, you know. So if I can write this down and to say out loud, that would help me a lot.
Okay.
I thought we could do something similar today, but you ended up like finding holes that I wasn't even aware, right? But I yeah, like, you know, so I have like a bunch of stuff, but
Yeah.
even then I will need that kind of nitty gritty,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's like, because I'm looking at the list of questions, so it goes in like, oh shit. So it goes in, and then like you go more into like the vision first. So I'm more of like, let's go into the problem first. Like you have it on the other document, because like the other document is going to be a lot more aligned with what I would tell you to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
What
just
I
going
was
about
thinking
this
about
process.
changing those questions orders and the things that you already taught me to do, clip on this process.
Yeah.
You know, then I will see like where the rationale, right, is not working.
Yeah.
Like, oh, am I repeating questions that I already done and when I go through Chris framework? But even then, I think when you read just the way that you say it, you know,
Yeah.
like the way that you rephrase in your brain,
Hmm.
I can kind of like copy that.
Yeah.
Because I cannot do that rephrasing. Like, you know, condescending, when I use that word, I was able to use because in Portuguese it's condescendente. So I study a lot of my language because complicated words, they don't
Yeah.
change much from country to country.
Okay.
But those simple words,
Yeah.
I have no idea, you know?
No, I get it, man. So I would say then things to work on, if you can get like the beginning of the call, because you got the situation, the problem, and then up until like solution down pretty good. So if you can do that, and then like once you get to the solution, like what have you been doing before, and then like right after that it's just future pace and consequence, then like that the structure looks good. It just then comes down to getting comfortable with that structure and then not falling into any particular rabbit holes, basically.
Yeah. Doesn't need to be long, right? Can be short and sweet.
Yeah, exactly. Like your discovery is for me anywhere from 15 to like 20, maybe 25 minutes if you're like really laboring the point.
I'm taking 45, yo.
For the discovery?
Something's deeper. No, for the whole thing. It's like 30 to 45.
Yeah. So it's like typically.
Oh,
like
it's just Discovery 2025. I thought it was the whole call 2025.
So it's like the
because I sound
discovery.
scripted
Yeah,
when I try to make under 30.
Yeah, discovery should be anywhere from 15 to 25. Okay. If it can be on the shorter end, like 20 to 15 should be better. Presentation is going to be like another 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh, discovery
Okay.
is a whole chunk, includes situation and all that kind of stuff inside the
So
discovery.
all the questions before you start presenting. So from when they hop onto the call,
Do we have
to when
this
you
on
start
school?
presenting. Yeah. Switch part.
Like discovery, call it this way? Because, damn, I'm missing stuff. So discovery is how I call everything that comes before presentation.
Yeah. So everything before presentation, just like that's discovery. So as soon as you hop into the call to when you start presenting should be anywhere from like 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. 25 if you've had to do a couple loops, all that stuff. Presenting should be like 5 to 10 minutes, 10 minutes at most. Okay. It
Yeah,
could
people
even
don't
be
ask me
shorter.
much. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it could even be shorter. Like, you know, there's been tons of times I present for like three minutes. Bam, bam, boom. Okay. You should be presenting price, like telling them price from like 25 minutes to 35 minutes in. Okay. So that way,
Thank you.
You have 30 minutes to handle any concerns and should be good. Because like
This is brilliant.
99% of the time, you should be able to handle objections in 30 minutes. Sometimes I might go over. It's totally fine. I always tell people to go for it, especially if you do have the time, right? But yeah.
Really good, man. Do you think I should go? This I use when I'm reviewing, right? Doesn't need to put a goddamn timer right next to my
It should,
computer with.
no, it's just something to like, because like here's the thing, man. It's just like an overarching goal to keep in mind. I do not want it fucking with your calls. So it's like if you notice, like, okay, I'm presenting price at like
Cannot go any worst.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like I'm presenting price at like minute 45, but I'm still closing at a high percentage. Let me go back and take a look at my calls and see if there's ways I can shorten it up. Right? It's just to keep a metric in your mind of like this would be ideal, but don't make it mess with your calls and don't skip steps because of it. It just like go back afterwards and take a look at the call, see like, okay, where could I shorten it? This caused it to go longer. Why did it cause it to go longer? Is there any way I can shorten it? But don't be like, oh, minute 25, let me skip to the end, you know, because like that's just gonna fuck with your flow. It's gonna fuck with your head, and then you're gonna skip steps that would have been important.
Bro, 100%. One last one for the kids. When I'm closing, they suggest that I don't present the 5,000 right away. Because I usually say, oh man, like to get to X, Y, and Z, it's pretty simple, right? We don't take cuts from your profit. Profit is just a one-time investment of $5,000. And that's it. Like they want me to give them the payment plan altogether. And Derek suggests me like, hey man, do this. Like give them first the payment plan and tell them that people usually go to the 5K route and I was like, I don't know.
Do you run into a lot of price shock?
I don't, I'm just talking to people, so I never get like, oh, people are like every time that someone drops like something more than $100, I'm quite shocked, right? So I don't think it's weird when I drop 5,000 and they get like, oh, all right, you know that kind of.
Well, it's like it just depends, right? If you're able to then like get them actually talking, get them out of fight or flight mode and really start to handle any concerns, then I wouldn't change too much. But if you notice you're having a hard time, like they're just in fight or flight and like we can't get anywhere, they're like a brick wall, something I would add in. Okay, so it looks like we covered everything. The investment required in order to get you to X, Y, and Z is going to be 5,000. We have a couple different ways to break that up, but most people just pay it all at once because it's a little bit cheaper to do it that way. Just depends on what works best for you. The next steps from here, though, would be taking care of the investment, debit or credit. That will allow me to get you set up with an onboarding so you can outcome. Any questions on that? Would that work for you? So it's
you
just
mentioned
really
that
subtle.
there is an option, but you don't need to give the option right away. You mentioned
Exactly.
just that there is.
Yeah, a couple different ways to break that up. Most people do pay all at once, though. Just depends on what works best for you, right? So then when they say like, okay, like what are the options? I mean, it really is going to depend on like what you actually have available. Is there any particular reason why you ask? Oh, well, I don't have the 5,000. Okay, yeah, it's not a problem. If you had a duffel bag full of cash, right? Like, would you do it? Then you just go right into the money objection. Make sense?
Yeah. Like, can I have because my Phantom, I don't know how to pronounce this, didn't record this. Is there any
I'll
way for
shoot
me
you the
to rewatch?
recording. Yeah, I'll shoot you the recording.
Bro, no words for this. Great. Thank you. It was great
Yeah,
investment.
absolutely. Yeah. Hopefully this is helpful, man. And just let me know if you have like any questions on this. So like as you're like going back and watching it
I don't want to
again.
abuse you. I don't want to abuse you. You know?
Yeah, but like shoot me any questions if you're going back, you're watching it again, you're like, hey, I'm a little confused on this or that, and then more than happy to answer any questions you have. Okay.
All right, man. Rock and
All
roll.
right, cool, man. All right, I'll see you.
Thank you.
Here is that call from my high level mastermind.
So at this point, I would just like, oh yeah, we can definitely cover more about that for sure. I am curious, so 'cause you're talking about scaling your jewelry business. What type of help do you feel like you would even be looking for to do that?
Yeah, I asked her the help question before, but how to react, because she telling me very valuable things like pain point I can get, but so much information, and I felt lost with what to cover, because she told me what's her product, that she's another mentorship academy right now, but it's not enough for her. So many things. So how to distinct clear direction at that moment?
So she's already in something right now. So it's like, okay, so what type of help are you even looking for outside of the help you're already getting? So I would just try to just be as specific as possible.
Yeah. And she was like, I'm asking a question, and she was like, okay, let me be clear. So in a way, she have the direction of the cow, not me. She
Yeah.
stopped and she start talking. And in the end, there was a sale, but it was like 1 hour and 20 minutes long cow.
Yeah, so it took a long time.
A long time. So different directions. And
Yeah.
then Mhm.
So all you have to do with that is just interrupt a few times, and then they tend to just get on point. It's like, oh yeah, we'll definitely cover all that for sure. I'm just curious though, so we don't like, skirt past this point, and then you just go back to the question that you're asking. You just re-ask it
Okay.
until you actually get a real answer out of them.
Yeah. Maybe I leave her to talk a very long time.
Yeah, and especially when you start, like, if you notice, like, this person, okay, like, they're a talker, I tend to just understand, like, I'm going to not, I can't allow this person to just go on and on, because, like, that's naturally what they'll do. So I need to cut them off earlier. So when you start to notice these patterns, you just notice, okay, I have to cut this person off earlier to just keep them focused. Now, later on in the conversation, I'll let them talk a little bit more, but it's on the back end of my questions, and we're talking about specific things. And then if they ever go off into the weeds, it's just bringing them back on. And like, oh yeah, we'll definitely go over that. Or, you're all the way on page 15. I'm back here on page 3. Can you help me understand what's going on here? So you just bring them back, and you can subtly let them know that, hey, I don't know what you're talking about, because you're going too fast.
Yeah. Sometimes it's happened to me. I want to have really clear direction in the connection phase to get quicker to pain. But
Yeah.
when they start talking too much, I feel lost at some point.
Yeah. So just, if you're ever lost, just re-ask your last question. Like, hey, I'm still not quite understanding. And just re-ask it to get you the direction.
Yeah.
Just don't move forward because you feel like you need to. Right? They don't know that you're like, oh, you need to get to your next step in the process. Again, we should be keeping it very conversational. So if you're lost, just either re-ask the question and get you like where you need to go.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, definitely, yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. And then David and Arwa, do you guys have a call you want to pull up?
If David doesn't, I do. Awkward silence there. So it's up to you, man. You were in here before I was. We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. No. I don't know if your
Everybody's
mic's
having an issue with
connected.
mics today.
I guess I do need to get a new cable.
Yeah. Okay. I understood that. Okay, so I'll throw this in the chat. This was a call I had yesterday. I reviewed it once, and I think I know where I fucked up. Like, I just didn't double down on problem awareness. Squirmy little sales guy, just vague, crappy answers the whole time.
Hell yeah, bro. It's my specialty, dude.
Because after rewatching it, I went through problem awareness. I'm like, he didn't answer my question, and I moved on.
Yeah. Let me copy this password. Okay, cool. Let me get this. Let's take a look. So where do you want to start from?
If we can just do like the discovery, like just the beginning. I think I got into problem awareness and out of it within like 10 minutes.
Okay, cool.
I think I hear
You got
something.
Good. Okay.
Hello?
Yep, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you loud and clear. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Not too bad. Just keeping the day going,
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you meeting with me, man.
Yeah, no worries about that, man. Well, we can kind of jump right into things because I do have some selected time with you today.
Cool.
It looks like you were speaking to Waller a little bit about getting some like possible outside help with real estate to like make more money, start investing, right?
Of course, yeah.
Beautiful, man. Now, just so we are on the same page, I guess like what were you hoping to like get out of this call with me today?
I guess just more about what it takes on my end to get involved and kind of like what the mastermind group kind of helps with basically.
Okay, yeah. And what we do is I'll say it's fairly custom. We don't really have like a one size fits all.
I never do like to ask, like, what are you hoping to get out of this call? Because it tends to just put the focus on you. Again, it's not the end of the world because you can diffuse it, but it's like, hey, what made you want to go ahead and reach out? Right. Just little things that like it won't put the focus on you so you don't have to diffuse most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I typically don't like to ask that question.
The only reason I have been doing that is because when I ask like, what did you see or whatever, they just ramble on about Waller. And I was like,
Yeah.
by asking this, I'm like, okay, at least I can get this question, cut them off, and keep the conversation moving forward. But
yeah. Well, it's like getting the knowledge that they really love Waller. Does that help you?
In a way,
I think on some level it does, right? So if they hop on, it's like, dude, like Waller's fucking the man, and you're like, yeah, dude, he's kind of boring when you get to know him, right? So it's like, one, you know him, elevates your status, your authority, your trust, and then two, like they're telling themselves, like, yeah, this dude's fucking great. So it's like now we have a little bit more of that lever, because specifically when we can put some of these identity things on them, I would always use it from the frame of this is what Waller taught me. So it's not you, it's always him.
Change that right now.
Right. So it's like because when you bridge to identity frame, because something that's really important Waller taught me. It's not about the skills, about being a better person. You just bridge right into it. Because I'm sure like that's some of the shit he talks about, right?
Yeah.
Be a better person, like be
Motivational
like
crap.
the man. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like they like that shit. So they're gonna like fall hook, line, and sinker when you put those hooks in them.
Gotcha. But as far as any like potential help does go, I mean, do you know what help you're looking for more specifically?
I mean, obviously when I was messaging with Justin, I mean, it seemed like obviously it's more into the wholesale real estate, which obviously I know a little bit about. I mean, I know there's potential money to be made there. I'm pretty green. I haven't gotten involved in real estate at all, but I know that there's.
Do you notice what he's doing already?
What's he doing?
Justifying.
Okay.
He's justifying himself and his knowledge to you already. So like, and this is just something, so like we wouldn't really address it right now, but it's just something that's in your mind. This person is justifying, which means on some level they feel a bit insecure about where they currently are at because he feels the needs to justify himself.
Wait, what was the question Owen asked again?
So he's like, what type of help are you looking for specifically? And he said, oh, with the conversation, he was talking about this. And obviously I know about this. So he's saying like, obviously I know this stuff. Why does he feel the need to tell you that?
So what are you saying? What are you saying? What are you reading into that?
So he's just like the prospect is justifying himself and his knowledge. So he's feeling like a bit insecure about reaching out for help.
Okay.
So he's justifying like, well, obviously I know a lot about this, which is just something like we're not going to address right now, but it's just something to keep in mind, just understanding where this person is coming from. Like they probably are going to have a little bit higher of an ego, which just means we have to just be a little bit more oblivious with some of the questions we ask, like a little bit more nonchalant to not trigger this guy's ego.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
I think. So you're saying basically he kind of a little bit of a defense mechanism, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So he's reaching out for help, but he feels insecure about reaching out for help. So he's like guarding himself already and justifying
everything.
Exactly. So it's like if I can't be as direct as I would with somebody who is more open, because I'm going to trigger their defenses. Make sense?
Yeah.
Something super subtle. Yeah, something super subtle. And
you get it on?
I just get what he's saying, and I'm like, because I had the call, I know how he was for the rest of the call, and I already see it now. It's all clicking. I was like, ah, fuck.
Yeah, so it's really it. Like, if you're just able to pick up on these small things, and I'm going to, over the next 2 weeks, just do more of a deep dive of understanding people better, because I feel like that's oftentimes like where we can, like, get on our back foot, is we just didn't pick up on these things as early as we could have. So I'll be doing a deep dive on that, but just something that piqued my ear immediately. It's just like, I know this dude has a giant ego because he feels the need to justify himself. But I understand people who have giant egos, the reason they have a giant ego is because they're insecure. They want to protect themselves. Yeah.
And
so they want to protect themselves from like whatever it is. Because like they don't want to feel inferior.
So then what are you saying in terms of how he now, so now that let's just say he picked up on this, like you picked up on it.
Yeah.
Then how are you, I guess, changing how you're running the call, or like so asking the question? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So typically I'm going to be a little bit less direct, a little bit more oblivious. Like I'm not assuming anything, and I'm just the most curious, childlike curiosity you've ever had, because that's going to get beneath his defense mechanisms. So it's like, oh, like what would even have you looking for help? So what do you feel like is missing? Right. So I'm just like, I'm so curious that it's hard for him to get mad at it.
Right.
Okay. But if it keeps going and it keeps coming up, then I will slowly and start to get a little bit more direct.
Okay.
So it just depends, right? Like if he starts to open up and he starts to lower his guard, it just means like this person's guard is already up. So I just have to do more to lower his guard.
Okay.
So like that's all it is. And if his guard continues to stay up, then you might have to start being a little bit more direct. Just like, hey man, like you don't have to justify to me. I'm here to help. Right.
Okay. That would have helped in this call.
Okay, let's keep going.
A market there. So
yeah, nice.
Not too sure how you guys assist in that way. So I don't know, I guess just knowing a little bit more about how it works with you guys.
Gotcha. How it works, taking that first step. So we're not investing right now, so no worries on that. I guess like for you, if you take a look back, I mean, what has you looking to get into real estate in the first place?
Just potential to kind of get out of the 9 to 5 and start making some money on my own. Learning that skill. Obviously, real estate's always been one of the biggest ways to do it. You read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Pretty much everybody who's in that game.
Right.
That's it's one industry to break into.
Okay, so we're looking to like eventually transition to do this like full time.
I mean that would be a potential. I'd love that, obviously.
Okay, nice, man. Awesome. I'll say with a lot of people that hop on these calls, they're kind of like in your similar shoes. They're like, I don't want to say that weird transition phase, but they're going from like that 9 to 5 to that full-time investor. We kind of have a saying for those people. It's like you guys are going from like taking orders to taking action. You know what I mean?
Exactly, for sure. That's a good way to.
And then with this, right? Like if you got that he loved Justin, it could always say, instead of we say, Justin says. So it just gives you more authority.
Yeah.
Right. So just little things like that can just start to raise your status, give you more authority very early on in the call.
Yeah. And side note real quick, this is obviously this guy's in sales. Every person I've had in sales, I now see what you're talking about. They're squirmy. Like just how this guy's speaking.
You gotta close every door.
Yeah.
So, and this is why it's really important to just like really pay attention to their language. Right. So just paying attention to his language. How is he trying to come across right now? Because that's the biggest thing. Because like just understand, like everyone is wearing a mask, so they're portraying to you the type of person they want you to see. So who is he trying to make you think he is? Which says a lot about him. Like he's justifying himself. He's telling you that, he has this knowledge, all this. He's trying to raise his authority, his status, because he feels like, reaching out for help for whatever reason, like makes it like it hurts a bit of his ego. Right. So just little things like that.
Gotcha, nice, man. Okay. So we're trying to get out of the 9 to 5 right now. So as far as work goes, what are you doing?
And something like this, like, like trying to get out of the 9 to 5. I would ask the next question. Oh, why is that? Some people are totally cool working a job. So just maybe taking a little bit longer in connection right here to at least get him to admit that there's a problem.
Okay.
Probably would help you out. Right? Like, oh, what? Yeah, well, why even looking to get out of your 9 to 5? Some people are totally cool just working 9 to 5.
Okay.
Oh, well, I want this, and this, right? So we can just get a little bit more out of them.
Online sales. I work for a big company, just basically cold call sales, honestly.
Oh, okay. Cold calling. So one of the cool guys, huh?
I don't know if I'd put it that way, but
All right, man. How long have you been doing that for?
I mean, I've been in sales for a while. Like I sold cars. I sold like I was a sales rep for like a construction company. And then now I just liked working from home. So I've been doing this specific job since like April. So
April. Okay.
fairly new to the working from home, but
Yeah.
still sales. So
I gotcha. I mean, like, sales is always that interesting industry. So I gotta know, man, what got you started in that?
I kind of fell into it. I was painting and doing remodeling for a company, and the owners kind of saw how I interacted with customers and how I could sweet talk them. I think they just wanted me to do the sales for them, like do the estimates, talk to clients. And ever
Right.
since then, I never went back to hourly. I just kept, I like the commission. So
Okay, I got you, man. Yeah. So, I mean, what's I guess like what's even coming up for you with the job that you do have in sales that makes you feel like what we're doing there just isn't quite enough and has you looking to get into real estate?
I mean, honestly, I do love this job compared to the ones that I've had before because I work from home. I mean, it's still, I mean, the better paying job that I've had, but obviously I know that there's potential to make there's so much money out there. I want to be able to use the best of my potential to make as much money as I can while I'm still youngish. So obviously, just
Youngish.
finding more potential, more money, opportunities, things like that.
I got you. Well, between you and me, man, no one really comes to us to make less money. They typically come to us to make
Yeah, for
more.
sure.
And I guess for you, if you had to like sit and think about it for a minute, I guess like what do you feel like is missing in your job that's like kind of prevent?
See, if we just go back to what he's saying, right? So we got a little bit more of justifying, like, I love this job, it's a better paying job, and obviously I know there's potential to make more. Okay. Why is that obvious?
Not.
It's not. So if I allow him to tell me it's obvious and just skirt on past it, then then he doesn't have to explain himself.
Yeah.
It's like, well, okay, well, what if it wasn't what you thought it was? Or you can just a little bit of a pattern interrupt. It's like when you're saying it's pretty obvious you can make more, most people just stay in their jobs and they don't actually invest into real estate. So what's coming up in your job that makes you feel like, you're not making enough? And you just go right back onto the point.
Language, yeah.
So very, very early on, a lot of what I'm focusing on is how are they speaking to me? Right. So it's like the metrics. Are they being open? Are they being truthful? These are the things that I need to focus on. Okay. So this person just isn't being as open. They're guarding themselves. So I just need to do a little bit extra of just not moving forward. Basically telling them hey, it isn't obvious what you're saying because most people do not believe what you believe because most people do not do real estate. Right. So it's what millionaires are top point, whatever percent.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so it's 99.9% of people do not believe what he is telling you. It's not obvious. So if you just come at it with that frame of yeah, what if it wasn't what you thought it was? Most people do just stay in their job. So what even has you feeling like it's not enough and you could be making more elsewhere?
Yeah. Because I knew in this entire call, this call did not go how it wasn't supposed to. I didn't challenge him enough. I didn't push him back enough. So I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And a lot of this comes down to what you're able to get away with when it comes to authority. If you have the authority in the conversation, then he's going to be more likely to fall into your frames. So for you, an easy authority hack is always using Justin's authority because they all love Justin. So when they hop on a call, I would get them to tell you that they love Justin because again, that's only going to help you.
Okay.
right? So it's like, if ever you feel like I need to really challenge this person, like you can always take it from Justin, and you can use it as something to where it's like, just like Justin told me a story or something like that, to use
I
that
got you. Okay.
against them. Make sense?
Yeah. Leverage what he says or said.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, Justin told me an interesting thing, because like, dude, there's less than 1% of people that are in real estate. So it takes a very interesting individual. So I guess for you, like what's even coming up for you that makes you feel like in your current position it's just not enough? Right? Like Justin told me this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like most people don't ever do this. It takes interesting people, or take whatever it is,
Yeah.
to really get it out of him. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's keep going.
Preventing you from already having as much money as you could ever possibly want.
I'm not too sure what could be missing. I mean, obviously it's sales, you know, there is not really much of a ceiling, I guess, when you think about it, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure what could be missing. Just trying to
Yeah.
maybe different skills, different skill set, I guess.
Yeah, because if we're looking at it like, hey, we're going to go out there to make more money. I mean, like, what's actually driving the need to go out there and make more money?
Like personally, what's driving me to want to go make more money?
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, just a better lifestyle, taking care of the people that I could, you know, just
Mm.
soaking up as much as I can. I mean, I
I
know
got
there's
you,
money
man.
out there. There's no like into it. So yeah, I want to make
Yeah.
sure I can get as much as I can while I'm here.
Yeah. And when you say that, like, lifestyle, I mean, like, different people have different visions of what that lifestyle looks like. So for you, I guess, like, what does that actual lifestyle look like?
Oh, just a better house, better cars, like more freedom of time, I guess you could say.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
you're not locked down to working for somebody else. I mean, you're just, you know, kind of in charge of your own time.
Right. I
Freedom, I
guess,
guess.
if anything, I guess what's causing you to feel like you can't just go out there and actually go get.
So we did get onto the problem
Mm-hmm.
as far as him and a job. So if you noticed it, lockdown, time, these are things I'm going to want to expand on, because that's where his pain is.
Yeah.
So it's like you going, like, so you did a good job. You notice, like, okay, like just going directly for the pain, I'm not getting anywhere. Okay, let's shoot for, okay, what are you focused on getting? Right, good. So you switch, focused on getting, and then he started talking about, oh, like, yeah, in a current job, I'm locked down. You don't have the time, whatever it is. What do you mean, like, you're locked down?
Yep.
So it's like, boom, you got it. So it took a little bit longer to get there, which is fine, because again, he has a bit of an ego. So people with ego, you just want to get them talking a bit more, because eventually they're going to do this. They're going to have to finally admit. If they talk enough, they're going to have to finally admit that they have a problem.
Yeah.
So it's like he admitted he has a problem. He's locked down, and it's time. So I would just probe on that. Like, what do you mean lockdown? How long has that been going on for? So what's causing you to just be like locked down in one location? Right. So it's like we can just start expanding on that right there, get some impact questions, ask him how it feels, and then that's going to be pretty much like the catalyst, because like he doesn't want to be like restrained, locked down. Right.
Yeah.
Whether that be the money he can make or the time he has to spend to make that money.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest thing I did there was I just assumed that I knew what he meant by lockdown. It's like, oh, yeah, I know what he means.
Yeah, it's such a, and again, like what I would do, like when I'm going throughout the call, is I would write down, like, all I'm really looking for in this phase right now is I need his adjectives. Like, how does he explain things? Lockdown. That is something that is negative. I want to expand on it, but I would also write it down, lockdown, and I'm using those type of words throughout the conversation. Okay. So when I'm going through, what I'll have like a list of like 5 adjectives that he uses. And that's all I'm talking about. Now you have negative and positive ones. So I also wrote down lifestyle. What does that mean? Right. You did good. You expanded on that. But then we also need to expand on the negative too, especially here, because we need to dig into his pain.
The negative adjectives. Okay, I got you.
Okay, let's keep going.
Get like the nicer house and car right now.
I'd say money.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
Like income, basically. I mean, obviously just making more money. I mean, I'd just like to find more opportunities to make more money.
Obviously.
Yeah, because I mean, like ultimately, when we're talking about making more money, you're in sales, so you're not like capped or anything, right?
No, not capped. Yeah, not capped at all. It's just yeah, I'm not too sure. Obviously, I mean, there's potential to make like a lot of money through,
Right.
any sort of sales, but maybe putting this money to work in some other avenues is kind of the next step I could see.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, real estate's one of those steps to do, and I guess if I could learn from somebody who knows how to do that better.
Yeah, because I mean, like I know a
And all it really takes is you to call it out one time.
yeah.
It's like, what if it was what if it wasn't what you thought it was? And he's like, how do you mean? Well, I mean, like most people don't get into real estate, so I mean, it's probably not as obvious as you might think. So if you really had to sit and think about it,
Just slap them around.
yeah, and you're just doing it in a way. It's like, hey, most people don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? Why would you even want to be looking into it? What is missing for you? So, and then we just can start separating himself from like the obviously.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing there is actually, and I love the way you said that, the negative adjectives, because I've had this entire week, I've had people like this, where I have to go like around in a circle to get it. But then I hear it listening back and I'm like, I probed on the wrong thing. Like he said, negatively locked down. If I went down that way, hey, we would have been a pain. Now I'm going down the money route and we're going to do like another loop again before we get to time.
Yeah. So it's like you had it earlier, lockdown and time, right? So it's like you let it out. It's just we need to take it and then take it down.
Okay. I make a note about that. I know a lot of guys in sales and they make a really nice living. So I
For
mean, like
sure.
for you, what's causing you to feel like the money you're making there just isn't going to be able to give you that lifestyle that you want?
I think it's a stepping stone, the type of money I'm making right now. Like, and it could, I mean, it obviously has the potential.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to use that money to make more money where I'm not having to work for, a company or like 9 to 5, that's
Yeah.
more, the avenue I want to go down.
Yeah.
I don't mind the
Work for a
work at
company.
all.
Uh-huh.
I love sales. It's kind of everything in life, but I just kind of want to.
Yeah, and like, why does he not want to work for another company?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, like it's just being very curious. Like those things like that are very interesting to me because like especially for what you do, like that's exactly why they come to you because they don't want to work for somebody else. So when I hear don't want to work for someone else, lockdown time, like not making enough money, like those are gonna be things like I need to probe in on.
Kind of dive in on that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Make that money work for me and eventually not have to work a 9 to 5, of course.
Yeah. Because like if you don't mind me asking, because how much are we bringing in
Of
like on a
course.
month to month right now?
Right now, I've only, haven't had built too much of a client list since April. I'd say probably around, probably five
Okay.
grand a month.
So about probably 5 grand a month. So I mean, like, why don't we just try to like go out there, just double the amount of calls we're doing and like make 10,000?
And with salespeople, you have to smack them around about their income.
Guy
So
was probably pulling in like 3 or 4.
is it probably at 5 or is it at 5? Or what a lot of salespeople do, right? Oh yeah, I make anywhere from like, like 5 to 10K a month. Okay, was it closer to 5 or is it closer to 10? Oh, it's closer to 5. All right, man. I'm on the same thing, right? So it's
Mhm.
like you kind of have to smack them around a little bit more because um salespeople just tend to want to embellish what they do, especially if they're not making that much money, if they're not that good at sales.
Gotcha.
So just like like when they seem ambiguous about what they make, I would just like, well, you probably there, or are you actually making 5K? And be real with me, I'm on the same team.
Playful humor. I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna see us call it out.
A month.
Yeah, for sure. Of course. Yeah, definitely. And that's definitely what we're doing right now. But if I could make this money, work in different ways. Like I said, just trying to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, because I mean, like, if I can kind of share a little perspective with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like if I'm dating like a solid 10 out of 10. Like she cooks for me, she cleans, she's great. Like
For
why
sure.
would I be out there looking for a different woman?
For sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean, man?
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
So if we feel like the vehicle we're in right now can actually get us to where we're gonna go, why would we
Mhm.
change?
Right, right, of course. Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, definitely.
So
That
if you
makes
had to like actually sit down, think about it, if you need a couple minutes, I'll give it to you, man. Like, what do you feel like is actually either missing or like restraining you from actually?
So it's like, oh, of course. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like he's not actually answering the question.
Yeah. Like this whole conversation just felt like surface level.
So you just re-ask this question.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, why would we change? And he goes, oh yeah, right, of course, of course. Like you're telling him something. You just like, yeah, why would we change? Well, we want it. Oh, okay. Or like, why not? Get him to start talking, get him to expand. And then like this is just going to train him that he has to actually answer when you ask a question.
Yeah.
Because like sometimes people take the questions you ask as statements, especially if you're trying to reframe them. You just got to ask it again if they don't answer it.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Okay. Yeah, because I'm watching this call over and now I'm really picking on things I missed out on. Because like I had this call where that real quick, that other kid that I was talking to, he was answering like this. I was like, no, for you though. And I just literally doubled down until he gave me the answer.
Yeah. So it's like if you have a call where you felt like you did really good on that one, it's like, dude, beginning of your day, fucking watch that call and then like just feel the energy you had when you're on that call. Like, the fucking big boss. It's like smacking this kid around. Like that's the energy, especially with these type of people, you're gonna have to have.
Okay.
You can't let them off the hook.
I gotcha. Going out there and having the lifestyle that you ultimately want to live, dude.
I guess time.
And what do you mean by time?
You know, being locked down to like certain locations or
Uh-huh.
Stay locked down.
You know, work, like I said, working hourly as well. You know, you got to make sure you clock in and stay at work. So I guess time, yeah, finding a way to make money without, you know, so much of your time.
Okay. It's like, how long have you kind of felt like that way for though?
Shoot, I mean, I guess pretty much every even sales job I've had, it's been kind of time. You know, still hourly.
And just something I would take out the kind of.
Okay. How long have you felt that way for? Okay.
Yeah, because it's really it's little and it's maybe nitpicking a little bit, but it does take a bit of the power away from the question.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just adds a bit of ambiguity in there.
Okay.
In some ways, so probably quite a while.
Okay. Quite a while, like a couple months, couple of years.
Yeah, probably a couple of years. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we're on to a couple of years then. And I guess like if
do you see like right now, he's finally admitting that there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
There should be a noticeable shift in our tone. Like, let's say you're talking to your friend.
Okay.
And they're like, hey, for the past 2 years, I felt like trapped in my job. Would you be like, okay, cool, man? And then you just kind of move on and you'd be like, oh, shit, really? You know what I mean? Like, you kind of lean in, like, oh, fuck, dude, I had no clue. You know what I mean? So it's that right there. And what that will do for him is, number one, he's talking to a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, it amplifies that emotion. So we finally got him to admit that he has a problem. Okay. It took us a little while to get there, which is fine because we're learning, but we got there. Fantastic. High fives all around. Now this is where like the work really starts. Is there needs to be a shift to my tone. So it's like he understands that this is a problem. We expand. He can mirror your body language. And then also, again, like you're somebody who actually cares.
Okay.
Which is just going to change like how he views you.
Mm-hmm. I keep forgetting to actually like shift the tone in like the how long question. Cause like I start to tweak it in the impact question. But I kind of see if you actually start in how long, it kind of feeds into the next question.
Yeah, well, just like right here, it's like, oh, a couple years. Somebody just told you like a couple years they've been having a problem. Like, what's your like human response?
They like emotional, yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that sounds pretty rough, dude. I guess like what type of then you can go into it. And it just leads into the next question.
Mm-hmm. It kind of flows better too.
Yeah. And it's like now we're just having a human to human conversation at this point.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
anything? Like what type of impact does it actually have on the, I guess, on the money you're able to make on a month to month?
Time? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not too sure, I guess, hypothetically, but obviously, you know, like I said, there's ways to make money without.
Now I can't see your body language, but like when you do ask these questions, do you shift your body language?
Yeah. For me, when I ask the questions, I kind of like lean in a little bit.
Yeah, I would like lean in and like tilt your head because it's like it like gives off empathy. Now he can't see you, but it will still affect your tone. And now understand he can't see you. So tone's even more important now because you're just a voice.
Yeah.
Now, if he can see you, you can look a little bit more concerned and maybe not have it as much in your vocals, and it'll still come across because he can read your body language, right? And this will just be like subconscious for him. Okay, he'll just like see that you're more concerned, so it can make up for the tone. But if you're just if you're just a voice, then you can't do that. Okay, so it's like tone even becomes more important.
Gotcha.
You know, sacrificing so much of your time. So just
Yeah.
learning how to, you know, use that basically.
Yeah, and leverage that skill because like ultimately us having to sacrifice our time right now to make the money we're doing, like what does that ultimately lead to like down the road?
What is sacrificing your time for the money? What does that lead to?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say a lot of missed opportunities.
Now we're talking about future, which for this guy, I would want to bring him to the present. Okay, because like his current situation, he feels locked down. So his current pain is where he's at right now.
Yeah.
So how does it impact his day to day, working the amount of hours he's working, and not making the not type of money to have the lifestyle he wants? Like that's the question. Okay, instead of like, what do you feel like, you know, you might be missing in the future being locked down?
Okay.
Do you get the difference there? Like one's real right now, the other one's ethereal.
Yeah, in my mind, I have been trying to two-step it with impact. What's that leading to, and then how does it make you feel? So you're saying just asking the what does that lead to when it's more so like future pain?
Yeah, well, it's like his pain is in his right now, right? So like, what type of impact does that have? I don't know, on your day to day, just feeling locked down in your current job. Get an emotion, expand. How does that make him feel?
Tracking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'll be a lot more punchy, and you'll get a lot more like real emotion out of them, because you just got to think about the psychology of somebody who has hopped on a call. Okay. Typically, the reason they're hopping on a call, if they've seen an ad or something like that, is like they're in pain currently. Now, there are some people that are very much forward focused. Like right now, it's like not too bad. But for him, he feels locked down in his current position. He's making maybe 3K per month. You know what I mean? So it's like that's where his current pain is. So I want to stay on his current pain.
Yeah. Okay. Don't have future pace. I got you.
Yeah. And future pacing the pain, like it's not like it won't hit. It's just probably not as hard as we could.
Okay.
Opportunities.
Yeah. Because like, I don't know what to assume, dude. It's like, Derek, I'm not in your shoes, I'm in mine, but you having to kind of like sacrifice all the time you have right now just to make like 5,000 a month. I mean, like how does that make you feel?
I mean, like probably a waste.
You could probably just make that a little bit more punchy as far as like your tone. So like the way I think about it, and this is just like to help with your tonal cues. So it's like you're gathering all this, and then like you're showing it to them. Like you're gathering all this information, then you show it to them. It's like how, like you're a little bit scared to ask the question. Like how does that make you feel? It's like you have to do this, this, and this. Like, man, I don't want to assume I'm in my shoes. I'm not in your shoes. But how does that feel? Like it's a little like concerned, but you're a little bit scared of the answer. Dude, like you know what I mean? It's like, dude, like what's going on? All right, like that's the tone that should come across.
Okay.
Right, which again, the tone wasn't bad. and we got a good answer, but we can just make him feel the emotion a little bit more if we just shift the tone just a bit more, especially since, again, like he can't see us.
Okay.
It's a potential, honestly. I mean, just because I know there's opportunities out there, so I'm just trying to find different avenues and meet the right people and use any skill set that I have right now and double down and try and find different ways to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you mean by waste of potential?
It's like besides wanting to make more money.
Waste of potential.
Okay.
Right? Waste. Okay. So this one's going to be a big one. So it's like, put yourself in his shoes. Right? Like if you're in a current position and you don't feel like you're doing the best you can, how painful is that? If you know you could do so much more, how much does that hurt you, the fact that you're not?
Right.
So you said waste of potential.
Yeah. It just goes back to assuming.
Yeah. So it's like, how do you mean waste of potential? Okay.
Okay.
So it's like he feels like he's been wasting his potential for years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was pretty much the part of Discovery where I was like, I know I let him slide with so much bullshit. And that's why I was like, if we can just look at this part. So yeah.
Yeah. And then we just go into
have more time. That's what
rationale.
everyone says when they come to us.
Yeah.
I guess like, why might you be looking for the proper training and mentorship from someone like Justin rather than just going out there, just either getting a job that pays you more or trying to invest on your own?
I mean, obviously
I would just pick one of those options.
Okay.
Because he'll answer whichever one he wants to.
Which is easier, yeah. Just because I was going to ask you about that, because there's that like the dumb alternative or like status duo or whatever. Like they're like train 2. Like for you, you're saying just pick one and just double down on it.
Yeah, just pick. Okay. Well, here's the thing. Like this question is going to shift. So we can either go, why don't you find another job? Or you can go, why don't you figure it out all on your own? Like those are probably 2 different ways you can go. He's already told you multiple times that he feels locked down and he's wasting potential. He doesn't want to work for someone else. Now we should have expanded on that, but he's already told you why he doesn't want to work at another job. What he hasn't told you is why he doesn't want to do it on his own. So it's like, that is what that is for. So I'm going to get that one because it's the problem he hasn't told me before.
That answers a question I had.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, perfect.
So it's just like you can have like 2, 3 of like rationale questions, and I'm just going to plug in the one that makes the most sense. It's either going to be a problem we haven't talked about before, or just getting rid of an alternative we haven't gotten rid of before, because he's already told you he doesn't want to work for someone else because he feels locked down. Okay, so it's like just when I need to ask it.
Invest on your own. I feel like maybe learning from mistakes that somebody you respect already probably has done, or at least met people who have. I mean, obviously I don't know Justin, but I mean, from what I've seen, he seems like somebody who you can respect and trust, and who wants to put out the right message and help people out who are probably in his shoes at some point. So if I was going,
which is good because he answered the question that like would have been the better one. So you give him 2, and he answered the better question.
Learn from anybody seems like the kind of guy that you'd want to learn from, maybe. But yeah, definitely learning from people's mistakes who have already done it. And I mean, I could go out there probably and try, but you're gonna mess up a lot and learn the hard way rather than from somebody who already has.
Yeah. All right. And I guess like before we started speaking today, I mean, like, what other professionals or mentors did you really reach out to so that we could start to make this transition to that like full-time investor?
What other mentors have I reached out to? None at this point. I mean, I was part of the real world for a while.
Yeah, I guess like what prevented you from like going out there and like getting help?
Maybe just knowing the right people.
Ooh, what do you mean by that?
That would be able to help you in that situation. I mean, not like wholesaling or anything like that, or real estate game. I mean, just knowing the right people.
Yeah, but I mean, like, when we say we've been kind of feeling this way for the last like.
Okay, so now we're getting into challenging. We have to be very careful with our words. Yeah, but
the butt killed it.
Like, what does that sound like to you?
It's just
You're disagreeing, like you're just invalidating whatever he just said.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, potentially, man. Can I share your perspective? He says it's just so much softer.
Yeah.
And then he says yes. And then I'm able to, since he said yes, he's going to be more suggestible to whatever I just said because he just gave me permission for it. Yeah, but like that's the argument.
Mm-hmm. I see it.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just going to give him a lot of leeway to push back on you where he shouldn't be able to push back.
I see it. Yeah.
Okay.
3 years. I mean, like, what prevented you from going out there and actually finding somebody that could actually teach you?
I'm not too sure. I guess I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I guess they had to like sit and think about it.
Yeah.
See, like there's a shift in you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. So and again, so now it's starting to get a little bit more like combative instead of you leading.
Mm-hmm.
So when we do challenge, it needs to come from a place of, yes, we can come at it with like a challenging tone, but it shouldn't be a combative tone, and it should always come from a place of leadership. So if we would have just gone in there a little bit softer, he probably would have answered the question.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Because now he
definitely
feels like
been
he has to defend himself.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we've allowed him to let his guard a bit, like we haven't got him to fully open up, but now he, like again, like when we're talking about somebody with a higher ego that we've learned from the call so far, it's just some of these things, if we can't like just straight up just go for the jugular like right away. And I would recommend not doing that regardless.
Right. Yeah.
Like going in softer, because for most people you'll get a little bit of pushback. For some people they won't.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the laydowns anyways.
I got you. Yeah.
I'm not too sure.
Yeah. Because like ultimately at the end of the day, like who's responsible to actually go out?
Yeah. I'm not too sure.
See how it's like shorter, quieter?
Mm-hmm.
You're treating.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like ultimately at the end of the day, like who's responsible to actually go out there and find the mentor that we want to learn from?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely you. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, in your shoes, who is it?
Yeah, me for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good,
So like
it.
where does that way of thinking come from? Like wanting to make
So we want to go back and re-ask it.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, how do you go get like the actual belief then?
Yeah, so it's like right here, we got him to take the responsibility. Now, if we would have gone a softer, got it earlier, but it's fine. We got there, right? So it's like for you, I feel like we get to the right spot. It's just like, yeah, we can tweak like how to get there easier. It's just like once we get to the right spot, like how do we just get it to the next point? So it's like you're very good at getting to that first spot we need you to. It's just like, how do we get it to the next one? So once we do this, we just ask again. Oh yeah, me for sure. Yeah, and I can appreciate you telling me that. So if it's your responsibility, what's actually prevented you from going out looking for somebody to help you so you could get out of being locked down in your job?
Take everything and shove it together.
Yeah. So it's like, again, use his words, or you can bring up waste of potential, whatever it is. So I'm just going to want to pull whatever he's telling me back into the conversation. Like, hey, what's prevented you from getting away from pain?
I gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Because then if we go into like this, and we haven't gotten him to admit that there's a belief, then there's so many different rabbit holes we can go down.
And it does not hit as hard.
Yeah.
Like make money for the last more money for the last couple of years now, but never really like going out there and finding somebody that could teach us a way.
I'm not too sure. I mean, obviously it all just trickles down to just taking action, but analysis paralysis, whatever you might say, I'm not too sure. Maybe I'm not too sure.
I feel like it's a good answer.
Yeah.
Analysis paralysis, taking action. Analysis paralysis?
Okay.
Right? So it's like, dude, you're getting there. It's just probing on the right things. Like analysis paralysis, like that is a belief.
Mm-hmm.
Not taking action when he needs to. which because he's just over analyzing. That's the belief. So I just probe on that. And then I'm like, again, I would use that in my consequence.
That would have probably fucking it a lot harder.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, then we bring that back up in consequence. Like, he already told you this is his problem. And then I probe on it, get him like, okay, well, how much is that way of thinking just over analyzing everything and not actually taking action? Like, what do you feel like that's actually cost you these past 3 years?
Yeah.
So it's just,
Yes.
I don't know exactly what you asked, but I assume that's going to be a lot more direct, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we can stop it there. Do you have any questions on what we went over?
No, just if you can get that recording up, I'm going to study the fuck out of this.
Absolutely. David, George, did you guys have any questions over like any calls we went over today?
No. I mean, I think I kind of asked questions as we went along, so.
Yeah. And we have some good key takeaways?
Yeah, definitely. Very helpful call, Owen. Very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes
My
back to just.
takeaway.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, you
my
go.
yeah, man. Very often I'm saying but and I'm getting combative. So this is a very key takeaway for me because I feel the pressure right after I argue with the person like this. So more so often.
Yeah. So just soften it. Like, we don't disagree. Yeah, potentially. Guess what if it wasn't what you thought it was? Or can I share a perspective? Then you can go into it. So it's like, I don't disagree with them, but then I'm like, hey, what about this? And then we loop back around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because like, yeah, but like, you're saying yes, but that but is basically like, it invalidates everything before it.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Right?
I'm going to say that I call back. Okay.
And then if you're able to take that language out when you're arguing with your girl, you win a lot more arguments. Okay. So there's that too.
Taking notes.
Taking notes. Oh, and any big key takeaways for you?
Yeah, dude. Probing on the right thing, listening for the negative adjectives, that's actually going to help me the most. Because when I get them, they just vomit at me with stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I didn't hear like any like real word to stand out on. But if I actually listen to the negative adjectives, could have cut off probably like 5 minutes of problem awareness.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm just focused on like, how do they describe things, especially very early on in the call? Like, what are the words that they use? So I'm always going to want to take their words and now I speak the way that they speak. Okay. Cool, guys. Well, if you have any questions, go ahead. Hit me up on Slack. I'll get this up probably next like 30 minutes. And then Owen, I think we have a one-on-one, so we'll hop on there. All right,
Awesome.
guys.
See you then.
See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Go ahead, leave a like, comment down below your biggest takeaways, and subscribe.